All right, Moorish Ken. Uh, we are live on a rise and give all praises to the great God Allah and honors to his holy prophet. We rise upon the seven, our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. And now we come forth with our ear session for today. I'm your host instructor, Dr. Shahidi Money Amo Hadi Shabazz El. And my ancient committee and high name is Dr. Shedawa Minti El Muhajid Shepsuel. And we can proceed now as our Moorish kin open up the way. Islam. And we will have our brother Marvin Edwards Bay, would you like to open up as we normally do, and then have our sister Ginger read our chapter?
Yes, sir. I can do that. Absolutely.
Okay. Gratitude, grand man, with our constitution and bylaws and in the prayer. And then Sister Ginger will follow up with that. Islam.
Islam. Islam more. Islam more. This got the Muhammad of the day out of the Texas consulate. Praise Allah, honor our prophet, and honor everything that's Moorish. And I'll begin with our commenting at the Moorish American prayer. Ya Allah abnu haru makul nektaru. Ya Allah abhet haru. Ya Allah mahat haru. Ya Allah hotep haru. Ya Allah haru. Ya Allah ma'at herkuti. Ya Allah awajek tejuki. Ya Allah patem sutek patem heru. Ya Allah bamatiti. Thou headest way up to Ali. Amen. Holius. 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 In transliteration. O Allah, the Father of the universe. O Allah, the Father of love. O Allah, the Spirit of truth. O Allah, the Spirit of peace. O Allah, the Spirit of freedom. O Allah, the Spirit of justice. O Allah, you are my protector. O Allah, you are my guide. O Allah, you are my salvation by night and by day. O Allah, through your holy prophet, through Ali. Amen. Holy Issa. Holy Issa. Holy Issa. And we'll go on with our Constitution, Divine Constitution of Moorish America. Act 1. Well, salvation, our God, unity. Act 1. The Grand Sheikh and the Chairman of Moorish America are in power to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of Moorish America. The Assistant Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Bylaws. Act 2. All meetings are to be opened and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest because on a Friday the first man was formed in flesh, and on a Friday the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all citizens of Moorish America. No citizen is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister because Allah is love. Act 4. All citizens must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all citizens must obey the laws of the government because by being a Moorish American, you are a part and a parcel of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5. No organization of Moorish America is to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all citizens must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and a parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Ali the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites, whom inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All citizens must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and parcel of all uplifting acts of Moorish America. Moorish Americans must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of Moorish America, and then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his Father God Allah. Prophet Noble Drew Ali, peace and blessings upon him, founding father and framer of the divine constitution and bylaws of Moorish America. And I'll now turn it over to our goddess and queen, Dr. Dendra Anita Kirk Bay. Islam goddess.
Islam, Islam, Islam. I am Dr. Dendra Ani Kirkabay. First, let me rise and give praises to the great God Allah. I give honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. I give honors to Act 1. I give honors to all my government officials. And I give honors to our National Assistant Grand Chief. I give honors to Dr. Marvin Edwards Bay for opening us up in prayer and reading our bylaws in our Constitution. I will be reading our chapter 29 coming from our Holy Quran. Yehoshua passes the third brotherhood test. Faith, the Logos, waited 7 days and then was taken to the Hall of Fame, a chamber rich in furnishing and lighted up with gold and silver lamps. The colors of its ceiling decoration, furnishing, and walls were blue and gold. Its shelves were filled with books of masterminds. The paintings and the statues were the works of highest art. And Yehoshua was entranced with all this elegance and these manifests of thought. He read the sacred books and sought the meaning of the symbols and the hieroglyphs. And when he was absorbed in deepest thought, a priest approached and said, "Behold the glory of this place. My brother, you are blessed. Few men of earth so young have reached such high heights of fame. Now, if you do not waste your life in search for hidden things that man can never comprehend, you may be founder of a school of thought that will assure you endless fame. For your philosophy is deeper far than that of Plato, and your teaching pleased the common people more than those of Socrates. Why seek for mystic light within these antiquated dens? Go forth and walk with me, and they will honor you. And after all, these weird initiations may be missed, and your Messiah hope but illusion of the hour. I would advise you to renounce uncertain things and choose the course that leads to certain fame." And thus the priest, a demon in disguise, sang siren songs of unbelief, and Yehoshua meditated long and well on what he said. The conflict was a bitter one, for king ambition is a sturdy foe to fight. 40 days the higher wrestled with the lower set, and then the fight was on. Faith rose triumph, unbelief was not. Ambition covered up his face and fled away. And Jehoshua said, "The wealth, the honor, and the fame of earth are but the bubbles of the hour. When this short span of earthly life has been measured out, man's bursting bubbles will be buried with his bones. Yes, what man does for his selfish self will make no market on the credit side of life. The good that man for others men shall do become a ladder strong. on which the soul may climb to wealth and power and fame of Allah's own kind that cannot pass away. Give me the poverty of men, the consciousness of duty done in love, the approbation of Allah, and I will be content. And he lifted up his eyes to heaven and said, My Father Allah, I thank thee for this hour. I ask not for the glory of myself. I fain would be a keeper of the temple gates and serve my brother man. Again was Jehoshua called to stand before the hierophant. Again no word was said, but in his hands the master placed a scroll on which was written faith. And Yehoshua bowed his head in humble thanks and went his way. Islam, Islam, Islam. I have read chapter 29 coming from our Holy Quran, and I will turn it back over to our host, our National Assistant Grand Chief. Islam.
And Islamism, gratitude, goddess and queen. Praise be to Allah. Can you hear me, Moorish Ken? Clearly.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Islam.
Islam. Okay. Well, let us rise again upon the seven and give all praises to the great God Allah, our Father God Allah, and honors to his holy prophet, honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, El Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali, that is. We give honors to our Moorish kin once again, here, there, and everywhere, and therefore honors to all of you who are continuously honoring yourselves by being yourselves. We give honors to our Grand National Seal. We give honors to our Grand National Emblem, National Flag, Divine Constitution and bylaws, and honors to all of you who are indeed a living manifestation and personification of everything, and I do mean everything, that our holy prophet brought to make us a nation. I want to welcome our Moorish kin to another grand drawing in our E.A.R.S Research Soul Today session. I'm your host instructor, Dr. Shahid Imane Amohadi Shabazz El, and my ancient Comedian high name being the same is Dr. Shetu Amenti El Muhajjid Shepsuel. And I come forth, Moorish kin, with a grand drawing indeed, today. And I would most lovely like to see what our Moorish kin has to bring forth, in regards to dealing with today's session. It's going to be a powerful demonstration. I see our brother JJ out there, 7,000. We give honors to you, brother, for showing up, and all of those who will be checking in. This is going to be a grand drawing this morning. We are actually at the level to where we are going to show our people, the origins of our language, and we're going to get into the abjad of that special language, and it's going to be a powerful demonstration, as always. What I want to do, I want to lay a basis of a foundation before we go into this particular drawing. It is important that we do this so that our family that is out there will have a clear conception, of this special measure. And this is just laying a basis in dealing with the language itself. And then we're going to open up the floor so that we can get our family, and the information they brought forth. And we're going to support our family and bring, clarity to the masses in regards to dealing with what it is that we have to introduce to the masses. And so what I would like to start doing by first entry, so to speak, I want to get in here and actually share my screen briefly. And then, like I said, this is going to be a brief demonstration right here. I want to bring forth a few minutes, but not lengthily. Just something to lay a foundation with. And we'll move on from that special point. So give me 1 second here, Moorish kin, because I'm trying to pull this up right here real quick. And I want to share it as soon as I get it to you. It's long. Okay, 1 second here. I also want to make sure that this demonstration is stable. Okay. All right, there we go. So let me share my screen right now. All right. Here we go. Okay, I'm gonna share the whole screen because I did it last night again. Where every time I share that tab, I end up forgetting it's not the whole screen being shared. And sometimes our people don't get to see what it is that we are sharing. So here we go. This is what I would like to start with here. And this is most relevant. This is actually a hypothetical map that we have seen that was drawn, in regards to dealing with the people of the land, and we see that in this particular map, we find where they mentioned Lemuria here, right? Notice Madagascar is right down here in this particular area right here as well in the corner down there. But notice on this particular map, to blow it up, you got Lemuria here. And notice the civilization is spreading out over here and then coming over in this area. And notice how this particular portion comes up through the Horn of Africa, going up toward the area over here, which would be considered in the Nile Valley area, more over here, but same thing. Then you see the Moors right here, coming out of the same areas, but out of the Canaan area. If you really look at it, this is Canaan land over here. Ones coming up out of here and migrating over here, but they went through, what we call today, Egypt and so forth and so on, and we already know the history of, the the Libyans and the Puttites and so forth and so on, those who inhabited Northwest Africa. So what there was, according to the history of, is a migration that came out of Canaan to where ones had actually settled over here, right? After their migration. And then there was a civilization set up over here. This civilization is known as the Atlantean civilization. And we say what we're saying boldly. We don't care who disagree, believe that this is a fable, because we have the information and we have proved that this place is on the manifest. You see, unbeknownst to those who are naysayers. So notice that the Moors settled in this area. You see it, M-O-O-R, right? The key is they migrated out of here and went into this particular area. You see? And there was a recent finding among scholars, and we pointed this out, of the settlement, the oldest, anyway, fossil that they found that was 350,000 years old. And this is like 340 years older, maybe even 335 years older than, the time that Atlantis was said to have sunk, because it was between, say, 10,000 and 15,000 years ago, and it wasn't even necessary that it sunk, but the civilization was washed away would be the proper measure, in the flood that was mentioned. And so the Jabir Uhud, is the oldest, and we'll get into that in a minute, that was found here. It's important that we mention this, because we are going into our language and we want you to know everything. So the first migration came out of Canaan, according to our holy prophet Noble Drew Ali. This is where we started at. And we call the modern name of Canaan the Garden of Eden, which is also synonymous with the holy city of Mecca and all that right there, right? According to our 101s. So the migration took place and the people came from here over. We see all the branches that's branching off from here. You see, we see also branches from here, but they are all connected You see, because we also see a break off that go all the way over here, which is up under the northern regions of Africa as well. So common sense would tell us those who migrated in this route, had something to do most definitely with this civilization that was established here and what later would become, the Nile Valley civilization. And these as well, it would be safe to say that, there was a measure that was dealt with, but not in the ancient aspect of the branching off. This took place later. So in other words, the first measure was migrating all the way over here to the west, according to the history, and just bringing it up to par. And then you had later what came after the Jabir Uhud, around that same period, 25,000 to 15,000 years ago, you had a people that were known as the Ibero-Maurusian. You see? So these Ibero-Maurusians would have been the descendants of the line of the Jabir Uhud, which is the oldest, again, humanid that was found in that particular area. We also have DNA markers to show in relation to dealing with who these Ibero-Maurusians were. Now notice they connect the name Ibero-Maurusian. Maurusian in itself actually is another way of saying Mauri. We have already taught on this, right? The key in regards to dealing with this is that the language is going to also show you, basically where it was birthed from. By the very name that we use in relation to this. Our brother Mustafa Gadala actually mentioned this name. He spoke of Egyptian Iberian. And there's a reason why there's an Egyptian Iberian aspect, because the Iberian Peninsula is right here. Let me see if I can blow that up a little bit more. Iberian Peninsula is right here. This is where the Rock of Gibraltar later came up, when General Tariq of the Moors had come on to manifest. This is that same region. When you hear about the Iberian Peninsula and all of that is special measure, this is talking about the land that was not only inhabited again by the ancient Jabir Uhud, of 350,000, some people even say 400,000 years ago. But then those who came later, and civilizing the culture, your Ibero-Maurusians. And then, your Mauri, which gave birth to your Moors, came on to manifest, after that. And that Mauri, in all actuality, people, if we go into the history of it, we'll see that they inherited, everything they inherited from those in the civilization that was established there. Now, for those who think, and like to say, well, Lemuria is pseudo, Atlantis is pseudo, and so forth and so on, based upon a lack of knowledge, we have a grand measure for our family. I want to say this before we move ahead, because nobody has ever put this information out here before we have. A lot of them didn't even know this because nobody cared to do the research, because they dismiss, these things as a myth. Many a time we heard people talk about Lemuria. They spoke of the lemur and tried to speak of a monkey that was found in, the Madagascar region and so forth and so on. But upon investigation, we find, the word Lemuria. Not only if you go into the Bible, you will see where it speaks of the Lemurit, which deal with the light beings who were the what we call the Mayar, or the even the word Mar. We showed our people this when it comes to the text. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna go up to that and come back down to this slide before I go into that definition. Because we always want to give our family a rundown on the history. It's always good to use the hammer of repetition and make sure they quote you right. You see, we ain't gonna give you no opportunity, come and give no definition that we didn't give. So this is coming from the Hebrew aspect, and notice they use the term the MAURABIC. Now this is in reference to the lights of the firmament of the heavens. But it gets deeper, when we go into the other definitions, and that takes us into this particular definition, which is the word again, more or male, right? And by definition, this is referred to as a celestial body, a star, lightning, brightness, glow, celestial body, right? That's another definition they give. We are indeed a people of the stars. We say that boldly. Our ancient ancestors in Kemet taught that. Even scientists will tell you we got some stardust that we come from. But anyway, this is the word here again, Mauri. You see, that's used in the text. And then we find the definition of the word Mauri again up here. See it, M-A-O-R, which is interchangeable with M-A-U-R. A luminary, bright light, lights. You see, a light bearer. So basically what you're dealing with is the aspects of a light being. You see? So now that we have these special measures, when you hear, and all this is etymology now, tracing these things properly, now we can come back down here, and this is going to lay the foundation, and we're going to get into what was to come behind that, and we're going to pull up our roots and links to the language. So right here, I want to make sure I got every definition that is up here. I want to first start right here. I want to speak on, because we always talk about we are the return of the ancient ones. And a lot of this has to do with speaking on ancient Lemurian Atlantis, because there was said to be like 60 million, pardon self, during that particular time. And that's why we speak of the 60 million in this new era in time. But it says, what are the roles of ancestral spirits? We must know this right here. Remember, we were talking about Mar being luminary light beings, and so forth and so on. And when we talk about spirit, spirit has always been rooted in connection with the light. For example, in Arabic, when they speak of Ruh, Ruh is the light of Allah. Angels are said to be made from the light of Allah. We know angels were able to take on physical form. Ain't nothing spooky about this. In the Bible or the Quran, whatever book you read, angels were able to take on human form. These are light beings taking on human form, right? So it said, what are the roles of ancestral spirits? Ancestral spirits were often contacted in dreams and in trances of spirit mediums. It says, were the high gods and other non-human spirits, and they would give people information about the causes of diseases, deaths, and other misfortunes, and would sometimes prescribe new medicines, right? And it's another drawing on this too as well, because in the book, The Celestial Ship of the North, it speaks, of the people. It speaks of trying to see what my book is. I just had it, because I want to actually read the definition coming from it. Give me 1 second right here. I got so much over here around here. Oh, here you go, right? Is that it? 1 second. Give me 1 second here, Muslim. I think I had that book. I got so many books over here, they hiding from me more. Hold up. Let's see here. I got that there. Okay, not that. What in the world? I don't know where it was. It's just up here. Well, I actually have it. I know what I can do. I do it this way, because it's on here as well. Because I don't want to waste too much time. I want to show how Moorish can. Let's see, because they got the PDF on here. Okay. Let's go into this PDF real quick and see what we can pull up out of here. I'm really just trying to pull the definition out of this special demonstration to give our Moorish, and it's probably good to even show it this way. That way you can see what I'm putting up here. Okay. There we go. A lot of pages here, so I know it's going to take a little second for it to load up. You're talking about 1,000 pages here. Look like they just gave me the first 203. That ain't the one that I'm looking for. I'm looking for the whole book. Okay. Let's see here. Better yet, we got some of our Moorish kin that have the book as well. Brother Marvin Evers Bay, can you pull up your book, The Celestial Ship of the North, real quick?
You know, I was looking for it as well.
What we got going on here? Islam.
Forces, you know, like.
Oh man, we got so many books they buried on the book,
right? Yeah, because it's a big book.
Yeah, it's a big book.
Islam, I got it.
Okay, Islam. Okay, gratitude, brother Bati Bay. You know, I find it down here somewhere, and I'm talking about it's crazy because it's yeah. So what I want you to do, brother, is go in the back of your book and look up the word Elohim because it's in the definition portion. You know what I'm talking about.
Islam.
Islam.
Okay. Elohim. Okay. You want me to read this off?
Yes, sir. Go ahead and read it, my brother.
Islam, first I'd like to rise and give our man of praise to Allah, understood the Prophet, understood our theocratic government, our royal council, our flag, seal, emblem, our divine constitution, swift angels, muftis, citizens alike, understood all the Moors here and there, and everybody watching. Islam. This is from that celestial ship of the north. It says Elohim, the sons of God and creators of the world, or rather fashioners of it, in 6 days, resting on the seventh, were but the euphemisms power of nature, the faithful manifested servant, the laws of him who is the immutable law and harmony himself. The earthly Elohim, tradition tells us, lived on an island which for unparalleled beauty and had no rival in the world. They were the remnants of a race that preceded ours, the race that could live with equal ease in water, air, or fire, for it had unlimited control over the elements. It was they who imparted nature's secret to man and revealed to him the now lost word, which lingers as a far-off dying echo in the hearts of some today. Hierophants of all and sacerdotal colleagues had knowledge of this island, but the word was only known to the Java Alim.
The Java Alim. That's right. Now notice it spoke of this race that can live equally in the elements. And it spoke of the Elohim, you know, as being a race, you know, that preceded, you know, our race and so forth and so on. And this goes back to the time of what we talked about. If we go into Canaan, remember us speaking of the Cadmonites and the first original man, Adam Cadman, and all of that, you know, being amongst the Elohim, right? So when we get into talking about these special spirits and ancestral spirits, you know, that as a lot of people use that terminology, they were able to take on different formalities, so to speak. You know, this was the nature, you know, of what we call the Elohim, being able to cross the border at will. And we're mentioning this to give you credence to see that we just spoke of Genesis. Now, the word Amar, was used when it said, let there be light. So the light had to do in reference with the light beings that were brought forth before sun, moon, star, and all that was created later on. You know what I mean? So the light beings were the ones that gave light to the universe. You know, when it said the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters, these were the light beings present with the Creator, who was known At that time in the Piscean record, they used the term El, which is synonymous with the word Al. This is very important that we understand this. And then it was the Elohim through which he began to bring forth, creation. They were his employees, so to speak. So this Elohim, these ancestral spirits, this Mayar, Amaya, Amar, so to speak, these spirits were those who became the ancestors, in the likes of Ish and Isha, being in the manifest at that particular time. If you know anything about Adam Codman, his constitution consists of Ish and Isha. This is a genderless seed, so to speak. So the Cadmonites are born of Ish and Isha in all actuality. You see, i.e., via the descendants of Adam Codman. So these particular races that preceded ours, were light beings that later took on a physical form, right? Okay, scripture and everything confirm this is special measure. So we ain't even got to go there. So we show you about these particular people here. Now, what we want to do is show you some definitions on this, even more. Notice, like I said, they wanted you to think that the Lemurians was just some little monkeys running around in Madagascar. At least that's how the European always taught it. I did a little deeper digging, and this is what I found. The word lemur actually means ghost, which is really another word that goes back to spirit. It says, while Roman translation lumare refers to ancestral spirit. Most of the time, you don't hear this being talked about. And I had to dig hard to find this Moorish king. It said it was thought that on the set date each year, ancestral spirits rose from their resting places to attend the festival of Lemuria, or the festival of the ghost world, or the term Lemuria literally means ghost world as well, right? It says, according to legend, a beautiful continent is known as Lemuria or Mu, once thrived in a similar time frame to Atlantis. The two historically overlap briefly between 30,000 and 25,000 years. And this is talking about, I'm going to show you the points that they talk about when it says before, you see. And so, matter of fact, we'll go into it in a second here. Here's another definition. We're only focusing on the definition of the word right now. It says Lumares, another measure, a general name for the departed spirits of men as well. According to the religious belief of the Romans, the soul was converted after death into a spirit, either beneficent or malign, as the actions of the individual have been good or bad. During his lifetime, the good spirit then became a protecting angel, you see, and was properly termed lair. And then they said even the evil one or spectre or the hobgoblin properly designated the larva. So they had the lair and they had the larva, so there was a difference between the two. It says, but although some passages plainly imply the term Lumares means departed spirits, are generally, without reference to any others, lead to the conclusion in popular belief and in the language of the common people, they were confounded with the larva. It's saying regarded as specters of evil omen and malicious propensities. This is how they started trying to push in their definition of Lumares. The Romans did, you see, and this is why we always have to vet the sources. So anyway, we're going to find out that more of this demonstration leans toward, the concept of dealing with the ancestral spirits than it did the evil aspects. Because the Europeans will tear something up if you let them. So it says the principle of activity in inanimate and animate objects was for Theophrastus. It says something personal and spiritual, archaeus, astrum, spiritus, an emanation from the deity. And each element had, as we have seen, its own active living agent. Thus, in the air, he found the Lumares, the spirits of air, the Sylvians. In the earth, the gnomes and the pygmies. In the water, the nymphs, or water spirits. In the fire, the salamander. Now, notice they are mentioning different inhabitations for different expressions of, we can say, the races of creation. You see, one dealing with the Lemurians in the spiritual realm, and then they talk about the gnomes or the pygmies, you see, which is often mentioned in the teachings in reference to the ancient teachings of Africa. You know, the pygmies are mentioned. You know, and actually the name for these ones, actually they were referred to as Sabazius. You see, the word Sabazius is a combination between the word Saba, you know, and Zeos or Dios, you know, seven, the number seven, and God. This is also where you hear people that come up, and you see our chairman even mention the name of the lost tribe of Shabazz, as they mention it in the NOI. That's where they got that from. You know, these are also known to be the seeds of Seb. You see, are the seed of Cush, which is Seba, a Shaba. Also mentioned in the Grand Quran as the people, the Saba, you know, from whence the Sabian come. You know, also being referenced to a lineage that comes even through Tehudi, which were known as Sabi. You know, we can go all the way out there with it, but that's what these particular ones are referred to. You know, the gnomes or the pygmies, so to speak. That's a whole nother measure. Matter of fact, they even talk about the deity Bes, hence Shah and Bes that's mentioned there. So as we go along, Moorish kin, you know, the whole drawing is, and I want to go to this portion here as well, because I'm trying to move through this demonstration and not be lengthy. You know, here's another measure dealing with the same definition. You know, lemur, ghost, spectre on account of their habit going abroad by night. It says one family of nocturnal mammals alive with the monkeys. This is that definition where they try to come up with the natives of Madagascar. You see, but the root is actually dealing with the spirit or what they are talking about when they use the term ghost. You know, ain't nothing spooky about that, even though you hear the term ghost, and spirit is really interchangeable. So that ain't an issue. You know, you just don't see that translated in most religious texts. You see it translated as, you know, spirit. So Lemures, again, spirits, or ghosts, departed specters. So looking at this particular measure going beyond, you know, what had been put out there, we find that there's a grand drawing that deals with the history, you know, of these particular races and so forth and so on. I ain't gonna read all that right there. I'm gonna just point out, you know, who the Lemurians represented here, you know, because a lot of the history of their history had been lost dealing with the Lemurians. But you find out the Lemurians, you know, they've referred to them here as Negrito or Negrillo. We already know that that ain't got nothing to do with the terminology we use in this new era and time. This is just the source that we have. It's basically letting you know it's our people. We're not saying our people were the Negro, but we know when they use that terminology who they're referring to. So then you had the Atlantean, which are the Ramajo, the Tavali, and you know, they have a whole, the Tolex, the Turanian, you know, all of these special different races that evolved up out of the Atlantean people, which was also still, you know, a darker people as well, of the darker hue. They were melanated. You know, then later you had the Aryans. And then this is where you'll see like your Induus, your Egyptian, you know, your Aryans and your Semites and all of them in this lineage are said to come here. These are what we call root races and sub races. You see, we focus on these two right here. You know, we focus on these two right here in this case, and then the first one over here. You know, the link mainly the Kemetic aspect of it. So let me show you here. This is a whole nother lesson in and of itself. If we were to go into all of this, I just want to get directly to the point here. Okay, Lemuria. It says over 1 million years ago, right? It says, even in the days of Lemuria, men peopled the earth. And the Lemurian people, it says, were our first type. And they use the term, and this is from the source. It says, yeah, our first type is figures 14 and 15. It says the pure Negroes and the woolly-haired races today are remnants of the ancient Lemurians. with little change of type except of demeanor, of stature. And they talk about how tall or how short we are, right? It says, slowly as years passed, configuration became as figure 22. And all this is dealing with sources that's basically showing a picture of what our people would have looked like. It's basically showing a picture of our people. That's what it's referring to. So it's confirming here that the Lemurians are the ancestors of our people. So then it had a measure here. It goes on 300,000 years ago. Now this is closer to the time. This is why all this is relevant. This is closer to the time now. And we showed you in the Atlantean people, these people were also synonymous with being a melanated people originally. You see, they even the last remnant of the Lemurians were they went into conflict, them in Atlantis, according to the history we have. But again, 300,000 years ago brings us up to the time period of the oldest humanoid being found. This is actually, 50,000 years into that, because it's actually 350,000 years ago. You see? And so that is special. Jabir Uhud would have been on the manifest around this special time period of 300,000 years ago, right? 350,000 years ago, as we stated, right? And then having this special knowledge, we know the Ibero-Maurusian who came up out of that, like we said, around 15,000 to 25,000 years ago. These are the ones that had migrated in that special pattern. See, they got a couple of floods that were actually recorded, but one of them was recorded 9,564 BC. You see, there was a couple of floods that took place, and these are the things that was referenced by our holy prophet Noble Drew Ali. This is just to show you the circle, of what the Lemuria looked like. If you look at it, this is the way the city was said to be built. Often expressed in the way that our circle 7, is demonstrated. Plato spoke on this, and their history came from Kemet. They speak of Thot Tehudi, as being the cleaver of the earth. He was said to be the last Atlantean that took the teachings back into the Nile Valley civilization. And this is how the language and everything and the teachings were carried over there. And his first student was Osiris. You see? So this is how we come up into this special area. Here's these different times of the floods that were mentioned. They had one that was mentioned in the Sumerian area. This is why every nation has a flood history. It's funny that all of them describe mostly the same, though. That's males. So you had the first fall of the Atlantean cataclysm. Then you had a second Atlantean measure, Then you had the second Atlantean cataclysm in the beginning of the Younger Dryas. So a lot of people don't know, when you're speaking of Atlantis, you're talking about different periods of time as well. Yeah, so it's a whole bunch of stuff in here, and it's showing the different measures that's speaking on, the different floods and so forth and so on. The Coptic papyrus of Abu Hermes, the Egyptian solstice cycles, man, everywhere these things are recorded. So everybody can't be lying. Y'all know what I always say. They even talk about the first Atlantean period as far back as 432,000 BCE, all the way up to this modern time. So we have to know this when we go to talking about this type of stuff. The primeval age of the gods. We know that this would go back into the times of also where the Lemurians was present still. Incarnation of highly evolved spiritual beings in the human form of Atlantis. Once you understand all of this right here, you understand exactly what's going on. So when our holy prophet began to speak on this history, as they called it, the cleaving of the earth or the great earthquake and so forth and so on, it all makes sense when you know what you're looking at and you know what you're looking for. So when we come back up into this era in time and we begin to talk about those who migrated out of Canaan and went over here first, right? It all makes sense, you see, because then they come back from here after the civilization here fall Tahuti took the teachers back over here and then established the Nile Valley civilization here. This is the way the history is being given, when you understand it in the proper context. Once they established that civilization, many other civilizations came out of the civilization that came here. You see? And then there were also civilizations in this peninsula, which is called the Arabian Peninsula, which is still what we call the land of Canaan, the land of the holy city, so to speak. But that's a whole nother measure. So civilization, language and all that was given by Tahuti. They migrated from Canaan, went over across North Africa over here, set up the Atlantean civilization, went back over here in the Kemet, according to the history, and then set up the Nile Valley civilization. Out of the Nile Valley civilization then was born, through the Hamites or Kemites, Yaputites, which migrated back over here into this special region. And this is where you had the Mauri, the Moorish gods, as they call them. The Mauri or the Mauri gave birth to what we call Moor. That's the original origin of the name. And so those people were taken into slavery, their descendants, which later came over here, and that's us. You see, this is our true origin, all the way from the heights of divinity, all the way into the plane of things made manifest. But the main aspect is that now we understand why Mustafa Gadala, in his book, The Ancient Egyptian Writing Modes, he refers to the language that is called Egyptian Iberic, Iberian Egyptian language. And that's what we're going to point out right now in this demonstration. So here's another map. I just want to show our family this so they can see what is referred to today as the Richat structure. Look at the circular pattern we just showed you when we showed you a few minutes here. Let me pull that measure back up again right here. When we just showed you here, this particular chart right here. You see, this again represents the actual shape of the city of Atlantis, right? The primeval ones. You see, notice, remember, we mentioned it's like 400,000 years ago, and then you get into the 300,000. I mean, it's all up there in the ancient time. Also, there's a calendar history that go way back there that was kept by the Indus Kushites, of 400,000 years ago, and all the what they call the Yuga cycles. You see, but that's a whole nother lesson. So right here, this is the actual Richat structure today. We have seen in the past that the FBI had, the CIA had been studying this special structure, as dealing with launching from this special place, because it's something that deals with the aerodynamics, where they saying that I guess they can have better launchings from this area. They was trying to do research and study on that. You can go and look that up. They actually had it classified in the documents that they was in this area here as well. But that's a whole nother level. But this Richat structure is very large. Man, that thing go for hundreds and hundreds of miles. You see? So this is just an aerial view of it. This was right here, where you see that arrow point. So when the rising of the waters came in, what we call the Mare Atlanticum, which is no wonder that we when we hear about the Lemurians that was spoke of down here in this special area, they were called, Lemurians or Lemurians. You see, because this was always called the Mare Atlanticum, or the waters are referred to as Mare. We already proved this, in various other measures that we brought on the manifest. And I'm talking about going back into the history where we were talking and giving that a special history on the word Mare itself. So let me go back here. So yes, this is the location of the people. The same location that your Ibero-Maurusians and your Jaber-Uhud, your oldest inhabitants that were found in science, all of them in this area. Your Mauri, all of them in this area, which become known in the modern time as Mauritania. Some people, even when they connect them together, because there was a time on the map where Morocco and Mauritania is separated, and that's a whole nother measure. But nevertheless, it was all the area of the Mauri before Morocco was ever mentioned, so that's a whole nother measure. Here's another map, and I actually meant to spread these demonstrations out, but I can blow it up though, showing you the same thing. This is an older map. Notice they referring to the same region here, which is also, this is Africa. This is that same area where the Jabir Uhud is, or what we call the Ibero-Mauritian, or the Iberian Peninsula measure that was demonstrated. Notice the name Atlantis was used on this old map as reference to this region here that is referred to as Northwest Africa. Now notice on this particular map, this is a more modern, very modern map showing migration patterns, but look at what it refers to the people as here in the same area, the Mauris. You see? So we can see the connection of the name, even Lemuria, going into the name Mauri, and everything. It's a wonder why they call the term Mauri the Moorish gods. So these are the people, again, that come from over in this special region in North Africa. You can see their descendants, as we were speaking earlier, spread out. These are your Cushitic people. These are your Shawar people, your Fulani. You can see the Nileo-Saharians. And it shows, who these people are. And they refer to these particular people as Afro-Asiatics. You see? In this particular, we know at one time we got a map that showed the whole thing was called Asia at one time. But the Afro-Asiatics, as they call them in this modern, because this is a modern map, you see, again, this goes back to the history when our prophet tell us about those Asiatics and Muslims. You see? And we can see even patterns of the Semitic tribes and the Arabic. All of them are considered. I got maps that show all of them as being considered of that Afro-Asiatic origin. So now that we've shown you this, and we said, okay, well, these Mars are descendants of the ancient Ibero-Mauritians, the longest and the ancient of the peoples. When you're dealing with Atlantean and Lemuria, you can't get around it from what we just showed you, coming from spirit man all the way into the physical. Now, when we think about the language of Tehuti that ended up in Kemet and that ended up back over here in possession of the people here, now we can unveil this language to you. Now, here's the chart. We said all that to show you this, because we don't want to just give you something and you be wondering how it happened. We're showing you exactly where the language come from. This chart is a bit more, we can say it's blurry here, right? But it used the term Karya, and this is Alpha Bellary, which is another name for alphabet. This chart here, it says Misrdan. That's Misirdan. That's referring to Egypt family. This says Karyadan, and this is referred to the Karyan people. How do I know this? Because there's another chart, which is the same chart over here, and it tells you, you're talking about the Karyan alphabet. Same chart, but one just translated into English, and the other one is what some people will probably call, Iberic or whatever terminology, you would give to it. But this is from Egypt and Karya. And they are showing some alphabets that most of our people have never really paid attention to. Although this alphabet is related to the alphabet that is known as Paleo-Hebrew, is related to the alphabet that is known as the Moabic alphabet. It's connected to the alphabet that is known as what they like to call Koine Greek, but it's really Phoenician. But yet and still, it's coming from a more ancient source. So what we always do, we coin the language, based on the source that is most ancient. So we know between Sumer and Egypt, they both came up at the same time. But Egypt in and of itself ended up having the most influence, that we see coming up into this new era in time. Not saying Sumer don't have influence, because the history of the Anunnaki is there, and a lot of their history overlaps. We even gonna demonstrate that in a little bit. When you talk about Sumer or Sumer, you're dealing with the Amorites or the Mauri again. We already showed pictures of this right here as well. You know, the brother that looked like Bati Bey. So when you go into this particular area here, family, and understand our rich history coming from that of spirit beings, the ancient gods, and then coming out to the god men and women on the plane of things made manifest, you know, this is a powerful demonstration. So nevertheless, this alphabet here is very important. Like I say, we haven't seen it. Notice it's not in an abjad order here. This alphabet is not in abjad order here. I didn't put this one in order. You can see the letters here. We could do that. I didn't do it. Maybe some of our Moorish kin may have used this particular alphabet. I don't know. We're going to see in a minute. You know, I'll show you what I did in a few minutes. And here's another measure dealing with that same alphabet, but it's isolated area. And it mentions the carrion here and so forth, and your Spanish coming out of that. And it ain't strange because remember, Spain and Spanish, you know, coming across from the Iberian Peninsula, it all makes sense. The Mauri, the ones that took civilization over into that land. And then when you get into that time frame there, you'll see, okay, so their language came indirectly, you know, from the ancient Mauri too. See the actual alphabet and the style. This is not in abjad order, but there's something distinctive about this alphabet here because it has the vowels up here in the beginning. We can see the other letters in here, but again, they wasn't abjaded. So we know that somebody, you know, whoever it was, either they didn't have understanding, you know, but whatever the case may be, they didn't put it in the proper order. But nevertheless, here's that Egyptian alphabet we're talking about again. Notice this is not hieratic. This is not Demotic. This is not Coptic. You see? Look at this. But it's called Egyptian. Now let's go further into this measure. Now when we look at this chart, and Mustafa Gadala has a chart in his book, and he translated, you know, these three words. Well, we'll just say he put them in their proper context. This is Egyptian, this is Tartessan, and this is Iberic. Iberic, you know. So what we did is we isolated all of the other languages. We dealt specifically with the Egyptian and the Iberico. Why? Because the Iberico comes out of the Iberian Peninsula, where the Iberian Mauritian people were from, right? The Egyptian, we already know that's the Nile Valley civilization. So if the language, you know, of Iberic correspond with that of Tehuti, you see, and Tehuti was the one that took that language over there into Egypt. You see, and this is why you see this alphabet here. Notice, you know, the similarities between these two. We're going to put them side by side in a minute. But this is a copy of what is called the Emerald Tablets of Tehuti. When you look at this language here, it's identical with a lot of the symbols that you see right here. Not strange. Many people who have probably seen the Emerald Tablets and seen this language always wonder what it was. Some people probably thought, well, this is Phoenician. But there are some characteristics that look similar to that. But when you look, you'll see some of those alphabets in Phoenician, you know, don't correspond with some of these. Some do, some don't. But when you look at those between the two of these, you can most definitely see, you know, the relation. So if people thought this was pseudo or something that ain't real, but that's a whole nother measure. Now I'm going to show you what I did. This is what I did, bringing things into perspective. What I learned about this alphabet, if you pay close attention over here, you'll notice it starts out with the vowels, right? The A-E-I-O-U. So again, for those who thought the vowels came from the European, no, they didn't. And when you get into the Nubians, the Meroitic language, you also find they had vowels too. So we can see the connection between the Kushites, the Iberian, the Egyptian civilization, and we understand, okay, so vowels really come from our people. But that's a whole nother lesson. So they are not in abjad order here. But what's interesting about this particular alphabet chart, family, is they actually have everything, all the other letters, you know, we're going to break them down in a minute and put them in their proper context with sound shifting. But you will see the A is present in the vowels. You have the B, you have the G, and the D. So these charts here that are related to each other, they are all based on the vowels in the abjad process. So what I did, I went over here, used these same charts, and I abjaded them. I emphasized on the vowels being here, right? Then I showed you, the A is up here in the vowels. Then I showed you here, you have, the B, which is bay, B, by, bo, boo. Like A-E-I-O-U, bay, B, by, bo, boo. This is what they put here for the B. Then they had K, key, guy, go, cool. This is the G here, right? Then they had they, a te, ti, die, do, do. Right here, right? Look at that. And I found this when I started putting things in order. So this whole alphabet consists of the root alphabet that's connected to all alphabets. Oh, but it get greater because I went to another length after I did this. So now I got the abjad this demonstration and bring out what is really demonstrated when it comes to the language. I use Mustafa Gadala's 28 letter because it's actually 28 letters in these charts that I'm going over. And so we're mainly focusing on the Iberico and the Egypto, or what is called the Egyptian and the Iberian in Mustafa Gadala's book. Same charts, but being written in a different way. Now notice up here at top, I want to make sure you can see this. When I put everything in order, it's going to all make sense. And when you go through the process, this is the letter A, right? And then you have Ba. This is the G, which is get, right? Then you have the do. That's your D, right? Then you have A, which is interchangeable with the letter H in most cases. You got your U and your V, and this is actually another measure that we took off because it was actually we isolated these B's, the last three expressions of them, because they actually correspond with sound shifting with the word W. See the W right here in the B? Now, only reason I'm able to see this is because now studying all this language right here, I'm able to understand what sound shifting is and all of that, so we can see where the similar W come from, because W is in the same family. All you got to do is go into the book of Mustafa Gadala, and he shows you the sound shifting. Right after he break down all the alphabets and the letters that he created, he go into the sound shifting, right? So again, then you have the letter S, which is really corresponding with the letter Z. You see? Then you have the letter H, which is corresponding with this letter O here. You see? Then you have the letter T, which is day, the letter Y, which is I, the letter K, which is gay, which is G, interchangeable with the K again. You had a letter L, and L is the same basically. You had a letter M, and its corresponding M. I had to put all this stuff in this order. It was a strenuous task, but nevertheless, we did it, Moorish King. And when you look at your chart, you're going to see it check out. So here are the other two B's, which is B and Bo. And in all actuality, this is me and Mo, because the M is also interchangeable with the letter B. So when you see the term Berber, they got an Egyptian equivalent Berber, but they also have murmur. You see what I'm saying? Or mur. You see? So you see, just like the word Kaaba and Baka, you see a connection between the M and the B. So I just wanted to show that. So what happened is all of these were isolated, so that took 3 letters away because these was a part of a sound shift. So it left 25, and the last 3 you'll see where we get them from, because this is dealing with a compilation of how we putting our language together based upon this language. So it says then you have the letter N, which is here, the letter S, which is here. And you have these letters, and this is where I actually extracted our 3 letters from. I actually dealt with this one as that letter we normally call Ein, because that's what that will be, Ein. And it's this symbol of look like a V, and then it looks like another arrow, so to speak, pointing up, and I isolate that. You'll see in a minute. But there are these 3 first letters here I took to substitute for these that I had taken out of here, because they belong in the realm of the sound shift. So we have F, you see, which is corresponding, because we know B also correspond with the letter F in sound shifting. So that's foo, 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 right? Then we have the S, and we go into that aspect. This is the Sade, the T and the S, te, te, te. That's where that measure comes into play at. Then we have Ku, and we can see the connection to the Q. You see, then we have R, which is R itself. We have another measure here with the S again corresponding with the do, so, do, but that's a whole nother measure. Here again, we have the letter T corresponding with T and H. And that's where that alphabet basically, actually, when you go into K and H after that, which is the Gu, the GU, the GO and the CO as they put in it here, Ku. That's it right there if you were to pronounce it that way. This is where your alphabets ended up falling off when I put the sound shifts up here, because if I would have put them down here, we'd have still had the 28, but we substituted these last 3, with measures that was already on the manifest. Because if you see, really, T and H corresponds with D and H. It's really the same. So that's where you see that filling in at. And then the D is really corresponding with the T. You see what I'm saying? So it's really like redundant here. And then you have the S up here, really correspond with the Z down here. And then you had the G and H, which was really isolated alone, and we kept it as it was. So this is how we put together, this is special measure. I know this was a tough one for our Moorish kin, because you had to go into dealing with sound shifting and all that. So whatever our Moorish kin bring forth, we give honors to you. But I know this is a real strenuous task here. You see, so whatever you bring forth, all is well. This is the other measure that I bring forth. I'm in here in class with y'all. This is what we call our particular measure, and this is what we are drawing from the Iberic Egyptian. You see, and we will utilize in our writing all of these interchangeably based on our choice, so to speak. So we have a variety of choice, and that way it gives our expression when we begin to write, a variation, so to speak, but mainly the one that you're going to see I demonstrate, and I use just straight the Egyptian portion. We're going to show you how we demonstrate this special measure, which we are referring to as Medu and Mauri, or even simply MAURABIC. MAURABIC. You see, this is our own language, Medu and Mauri. Now the sounds for this language, because every language has sounds in it, right? We have Ali, Bay, Gibraltar, Day, Hudda, Wajha, Zaka, Haman, Taraka, Yahya, Kaba, Lahima, Makkah, Noon. Hold up. Give me a second here. Give me 1 second. Every time I try to stretch that demonstration out, it do that. Okay. We're just trying to make sure our family can see it. Okay, so Noon, and then you have Sultana, Aya, Fatah, Saba, Kadama, Raha, Sheikha, Tafa, Tawa, Khalafa, Dhulfikar, Dama, Zahara, and Ganiya. And all of these particular sounds, because that's just sounds, just like you had the alif, the bay, the gamil, the dalit, dal, Just like you have those, this is our sound sequencing. We took this, from regular Arabia, you see, because they still make the sounds that we need, and it will be more easier for us to understand and express them this way. Now notice Ali means the exalted one. So all of these things that I chose have something to do with our paradigm. That's what makes it Moorish. You see, it says the grand governor, Bey, right? Gibraltar, the impregnable stronghold. That's the same area known as the Iberian region, Gibraltar. That's where the Rock of Gibraltar is. Day, the executive ruler. You see, Huda, the guide. Wajha, the omnipotent. Zaka, the pure and clean. Amen, the high priest of Amen. This is straight in the dictionary of the Arabic that we have. A lot of the definitions come forth as well. And some of them are just coming from the Moorish paradigm. It says Tariqa, which is also along with the line of Tariq. Remember, Gibraltar, is connected to the general Tariq. So, but again, Taraka deals with the star. You see, the path that Sufi adepts have said to travel is Tariqa. You see, so in all actuality, they're dealing with traveling the path of the stars. I ain't gonna get into Musketi and all that right there. That's a whole nother measure. But it says Yahya, the harbinger, Kaaba, the house of God, Lahima, divine inspiration, right? Makkah, the holy city, Noon, the age of the fish, right? Sultana, the power and authority, because that word actually comes from Quran. Ayah, the sign of God. That's actually connected to the word in Kemet, ayat. Neter, which deal with the sign of God as well. That's when you see the neter planting the flag. Fataha, Fatah, the opener. Saba, the seven. Kadama, the ancient one. Raha, the holy breath. You see, I'm using mostly roots, of different words, because the word ruah, spirit, come from there, holy breath. So when we was talking about the Lemurians and so forth and so on, properly stated, our ancestors represented manifestations of the holy breath. So again, Sheikah, the ancient of days, right? Where the word sheik come from. That's a Quranic word as well. Tafa, which is circle. Thawa, which is celestial garb. We talk about that celestial garb all the time, right? So we can see the circle 7, the flag, and all the elements and everything mentioned just in our alphabetical structure that we have. Because every particular people, when they do their thing distinctively, they have their own meaning. So this is what we have here. It's all relative to our journey. Dulfikar is the sword of Ali. And Dhamma, the everlasting, hence the everlasting gospel. Zahara deals with the manifest, and this is how we have manifested in this era and time. And also Ganiya, again, is self-sufficient, because we are here on the plane of things manifest to demonstrate self-determination, being self-sufficient as a nation. So when I put everything together, as I told you, I use these two symbols to represent the ayah, ayin, right? And then I took these last three, to make them distinctive from the others, because they really, again, overlapped into the other letters that were above, but to make them distinctive, so we can be able to distinguish them in writing, I just took those first three letters, in the isolated section, as I showed you earlier, and placed them here as your Dulfikar, your Dhamma, and your Zahira. These three letters here. Everything else was pretty much left the same, outside of me bringing the abjad order on the manifest and putting everything in the exact order that it was supposed to be. You see? And so that's a whole nother measure, family. This is a powerful demonstration. It's a grand drawing, and our Moorish kin will most definitely be able to get some grand insight out of demonstrating this special measure. And let me show you what I was able to come up with. Going back into areas of Egypt, we showed you before that there are monuments that have a particular writing on them. Now, a lot of people will call this Moabic or Phoenician, in the modern time, right? This is on an Egyptian monument. So we refer to that script as the Egyptian Muabic script, right? The Egyptian Moabite script. This is the coin phrase that we give to it. We don't care what nobody else calls it. Muabic stele, the Moabite stone. There's actually a physical copy of this, but it's kind of blurry. It's the same thing that you see right here. You know, the same language. Look at the style of the writing here. You see? Very universal style of writing. That's the Moabite stone. We know the Moabites got their language from Egypt. So this is an example of our script. The same one I just showed you when we get into writing it. You see? And I know our family really don't know what they're looking at now, but we're just showing you what our script will look like and the style in which we do it. This is Ali right here. That's the A, the L, you know, and the Y right here. And what I did, because I had to, you know, I wanted to get it in there in the way that we would be able to distinguish it and see what it is. And in this particular case, I didn't we'll say fully come into the extension of this letter here, but the style for us being able to identify the rules of identifying in this writing is to elongate the first letter and this last letter, which you'll see I did a little further down because I was writing the lines, practicing. And we will be spacing the letters out, you know, with this little hoop symbol, you know, and it's a couple of more of them, but mainly this hoop symbol or this one, either one you choose to use, it's on you. But we will be able to identify it by these things. This will be our spacing system, so to speak. So everywhere you see that little hoop and loop, you know that's a space. But also an indicator, again, will be the elongation. You know, and you're going to see that I made it longer a little bit when we get further down. And so this would be a word. This would be a separation of a word. This would be another word. This is another separation of a word. This is a whole word going out to here, and this is actually the end of that word, you know, and we go so forth and so on. And another separation here. You can see further down, I was perfecting it, you know, and you see here, I elongated it, still Ali, you know, elongated, and then I went here, separation, elongated, you know, not as long as this, but I stretched it out because we got a distinction measure. We may even just make it a little bit more in space, but we just want our people to be able to identify with what our script looks like. And our script, you know, is inspired by the ancient Moabite script, also extending from the Iberic, you know, our alphabets are extending from the Iberic Egyptian, or the Egyptian Iberic is what we call it. You know, so this language, you know, we call the Muabic Mauri script, or the Moorish language, or simply MAURABIC. You see? So that's my particular measure that I wanted to bring on the manifest. That's another one of them different demonstrations showing all the different scripts here too, you know, in the similar breath of that demonstration. So I wanted to show our family that we definitely got a lot of work to do in all our definitions or whatever. Once we figure out a system of being able to put those things on, once we figure out how to be able to type them, because I got a little thing I was doing and I was able to pull up some alphabets and actually put them in there, but they ain't let me type out. You know, I'm gonna show y'all that real quick too. Well, I actually had put the fun in here, and I'm gonna figure it out though. I think what it is, all it's gonna take probably, I may have to come out of the trial thing, and then maybe it'll let me fully get it to where I can type these things. Let me show you this real quick and show you that I actually put it together. Give me 1 second here. Okay, there we go. Make sure I'm sharing. Okay, there we go. Open Sesame. Okay, there we go right there. Okay, so here it is right here. I actually had put this together because there's a way you actually have to draw this stuff out, right? You know, and this is just a trial here, you know, more perfection. I put it on an Arabic typesetting. So what happened when I type it out, it's coming out in Arabic. And I'm thinking this is because maybe I'm in the trial setting, but through trial and error, we'll correct it. You know, you can even go in there and look at all the characters that I created, you know, so we working on getting this demonstration. So when we start trying to put our definitions together, they'll be put together in this language as well, you know, mashallah. So I just given our family a little insight into that family, so that they can see what it is that we bringing on the manifest. And like we said, those who are qualified scribes are the ones who are set to bring forth these definitions, because they know what it entails. They know they've been here through the whole special demonstration, you know, and everybody else, you know, they will benefit from these special measures as we unfold. So what I want to do right now, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen, and we're gonna get our Moorish kin up here. I see our sister Curta Bay. Are you there, Sister Curta Bay? Because I'm seeing another thing on here for you.
Islam.
Okay, yeah, that's a device is not connected. I'm gonna get that, and I'm gonna close that one out. Let me see. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna close that one out, and there you go, right there. So at this time, now we can call forth our Moorish kin, you know, to bring forth their demonstration, and also give you your drawings on what you think so far on what we brought forth along with your mentions. So whoever it is that would like to come forth with their assignment, praise be to Allah. We just trying to give you help. You know what I mean? And there is no right or wrong measures. Everything corresponds with the all. Islam. So
Islam, Dr. Shaheed.
uh-huh.
I got a quick question. The one you closed out, you know, I was having problems with my computer. That was the one what had my homework on.
Oh yeah, well that's good. That's good. Okay, so you want me to open it up?
Well, let my son see if he can pull it back up, because
Okay.
this one, when I'm talking on, this is my old computer and I don't have nothing on this one. And I was trying to tell you to keep that one up and close this one down. But let's see if we can try. Yeah, let's see.
Well, yeah, you can put that one back up. You just got to connect it to a camera where I can
Okay,
link it.
I'm gonna try to reconnect it, and whoever else can come forth while I'm trying to do that. And because I got my homework on that one, and my homework ain't on this one that I'm talking about. Islam, gratitude, God, man, peace and love.
Islam, gratitude, peace and love. All right, Islam. Okay, so who is our Moorish kin that would like to bring forth their assignment or thesis, so to speak? Islam.
Islam, National Social Grand Chief.
Yes, sir. Islamism.
Gratitude. Well, you know, I didn't go as deep as I need to. I'm sure, you know, and so, you know, but I can bring you what I have.
All is well. All is well, grandman.
Okay, gratitude. So, in order to show my screen, so I have to go ahead and press present. Share screen, right? Okay, I hit share screen, but it's not doing anything. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you should be able to share the screen.
Okay, I went into present. Okay, all right, I see it now.
Yeah, you should be able to share your screen.
Okay,
And
entire.
once it show up, I'll be able to put it up there for you.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, so that's the video that I'm looking at. So I want to.
You just go click on your tab now, and it'll pull you whatever tab you're trying to show. It'll pull it up.
Mm-hmm. So let's go in there right there. Oh, well, maybe I can go from here. Okay, I got you. Okay, basically, starting out, Islam is a more Muslim, a home
Now,
where,
pardon self, Brother Marvin, that will be. Now, remember, you only have to do the abjad portion on here. You don't have to go into the alphabet definition.
okay, well, but this is what I got right here. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I'm just saying. I got you. I'm just saying we're gonna get into the other portion when we shut down. Remember what I was discussing earlier
Right, yes,
on
sir.
definition? That's I was just reminding you of that, brother. That's all.
Of gratitude. Yeah,
Yes.
so yeah, I don't have much on. Like I saw what you went through just a few minutes ago, and I kind of like surmised that I would have to go into depth like that. You know what I mean? And so basically, what I did was just took this.
Enlarge your screen, brother Marvin Everby. Like make it big so the people can see it. Cause I blowed you up, but I want you to have it even bigger.
Okay, let me see.
Better yet, what I'm gonna do,
What about
I'm
like
gonna
that?
go out.
That
Well, no, you have to expand the whole window. You have to you see that stuff on the side that you got over there with the houses.
let
You
me
got
put
you
it
got to
at.
get them up out of there.
Okay,
Yeah, and then it now expand. Yeah, so that
okay, that's why.
and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna blow you up over here. Let's see. Hold up, I'm trying to get it. Yeah. All right. So let me do it now.
Can you see it any
Now
better?
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. That's okay, brother. Yeah,
Okay,
you on point.
right. Yeah. So basically, what I did, I just pretty much cut and paste this particular alphabet here. You know what I mean? They say it's Phoenician, but that's the one that came as close um, as I thought to what it is to this here. I mean, in my mind, you know what I mean. So I didn't go into separating them, but I know because it didn't seem like it had all of the alphabet, but like you were saying, there was some sound shifting. I mean, which we know it is, which would enable us to actually put forth all of the alphabets on there. So I would have to basically come through, take the A, the D, um, and I didn't see the G actually on here. So I'm sure there's a sound shifting that would correlate with D. And so this particular alphabet pretty much looks just like I have up here on the, oh yeah, right here. I mean, the D looks familiar. So basically, that's what I did. I got the alphabet sequence. These are the alphabets I thought would correlate with that. And so I know there's going to have to be a major overhaul, so to speak, on getting this here particular alphabet to where we can see it. I mean, where it can correlate with the assignment. So I'm gonna say that's what I have to offer for the abjad. Islam.
Islamism. Yeah, gratitude, brother, for the draw, and praise be to Allah. And like I say, we even touched on that. So, we showed the relation to that same language there,
Uh-huh.
in showing the actual bust of the Egyptian monument with the inscriptions wrote on them, the Muabic. So, nothing wrong with that. You just showed the parent, you know, uh, in the child, so to speak, when it comes to dealing with everything. But it's all good. Praise be to Allah. All right. Any other more would like to come forth with their assignment?
Brother Rahim, can you close that one out and let me in on the other one?
Okay. Islam. Let me get over here. Now, if I close you off, it's gonna take you off of here. So you got to get your unlock your devices when I put the button over here. All right, sister?
Oh, okay, I think I can.
Yeah, this gonna take you out of here. So hold up. All right, we're gonna get a sister a second so she can get her apparatus load up. Because we need her camera and her mic in order to add her to the stream because it shows devices not connected at this time.
There's no.
Okay, Islam, brother Bati Bey, you want to come forward while she doing her while she getting herself right?
You know I will. You know I will.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Praise be to Allah. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, so I'm gonna share the screen. Share screen. Okay, and I'm gonna go into. I got to do this a roundabout way because my thing been acting up. My flash drive.
Okay.
And
you sharing it already, so I can add it because I don't see it in the queue yet.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'm just tapping on it.
Okay.
I think that's it right there, right?
Yeah, once you see it, it's gonna pop up down there. I ain't seen them pop up as of yet. Just give it 1 second. It may be a delay on my end.
Okay.
Yeah, but I still don't see it.
I just I just presented it to the thing, and
yeah, I know you're saying it is presented, but it ain't showing down here in the queue. Like when he hit it, like Marvin Edwards Bay.
Yeah.
When he hit it, it presented in the queue, and then I added to the stream.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about. I must.
There it go. Now I see you.
Okay.
All right. Now there you go. Yeah, make sure you expand your screen as well, so yeah, they can see it when you put it up there.
Whoa.
Nah, yeah, all right, it do that. I'm gonna try to see can I do. I'm gonna take this thing back to its original state too. So when you share this, it should show it. Let's see. Okay, there we go.
Let's see if we.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, when you open it back.
Okay.
Okay, present it again.
Present. Slides.
Okay, you already got it in there?
No, I had put it in. When I first went to go share it, it should have went to it. Is that me right here? Oh, there.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to see. I see you got 2 pages. I'm trying to get to the one where your information at.
Okay. I'm trying to see.
Sharing. Okay, that's where you sharing at.
Move. This right here.
You sharing right there. That's you sharing. You just got to get to your tab now.
Yeah, let me exit full screen. Okay. It says exit full screen. Let me get to the tab. It's really
yeah, once you get to it, it'll get all that off of there. Everything that's looking out of whack, it'll leave.
Okay.
As soon as you put your PDF or what you put in.
Okay, let me see if this is wait a minute. There you go. This is not. I for some reason I'm not able to pull it up on the.
Yeah, well, click up on the top of your screen where it say Egyptian hieroglyphic at.
See, I have it on the hard drive because I had to take a picture of what I did and send it to the hard drive, and then from the hard drive I had to put it in a file, and from the file I had to open it up, but it won't let me open up the file on here.
Go back down. You already got the file on your screen?
It will right here.
Yeah, you already got it open though?
Yes.
So if the file is open, what you got to do then is go back to where you had opened up the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Go back to StreamYard tab.
Okay.
Up there at the top. Okay, now when you go down there and do your sharing, open up slides real quick. Let me see something.
And go to your computer?
But no, you ain't. Yeah, well, yeah, you can go to your computer and then you can click on that link.
Okay.
And then you can put it up there, or you can just hover over the screen, being that it's open, and your computer should find it if you click share screen. If you share the full screen, you should be able to go right to the link.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? It's both of them ways you can either get it up there by loading it up, or just stop sharing the screen. And when you share it again, you know, and it give you the option, make sure that that particular thing is in there, or you can go directly to it and share it. You see what I'm saying? Share the actual PDF.
Okay. Right here. Present slides. I think it's on the Google. Upload. Go to pitch.
What operating system is he using? Is he using Apple or Microsoft?
I'm using I'm actually using Microsoft.
Yeah, he should be able to go down there just like you normally would do in it's the same way you say it shared in Zoom, basically. You know, it gives you the same option. You just have to pull that whatever it is you pulling up, you got to pull it up first and open it up, and then it'll be there for you.
Oh,
option.
Got it.
You
okay,
understand?
I see what you're talking about. Yeah.
Once you put it up there as a on your screen, it'll be there as an option. Once you open it up, then it'll be on your screen. See?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm gonna try to move this out the way real quick and go to that,
sir.
and then present.
Yes, sir.
Is that where in the tarnations? There we go. Okay.
This God man, not to disturb, but Diane Carter Bates says she's ready. Just let you know.
Yeah, I see her right here. I'm finna let her in right now. Uh-huh. Islam, I got her in here right now. Okay, Sister Curta Bay, we back to you. Brother Bati Bay trying to get his thing set up as well. You ready?
Islam, I think I'm ready. I'm looking at this thing, trying to work it, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I forgot this ain't Zoom. But anyway,
yeah, it worked the same though. If you just present your screen, I'm gonna be able to put it up there for you.
Okay, so I'm gonna hit
present your screen.
Okay, because I okay, so I clicked that, so he clicked share screen.
That's right.
Okay, I'm gonna do that, and it say screen share screen again.
Yeah, once you get it up there, then I'll be able to present it.
Okay. What happened? I clicked it. Okay, what's going on here? Hit share. Oh wow. And I had and I kind of did mine the way you did it, but I didn't put it all. I did the whole chart.
Okay.
But go back. Oh wow. And I worked hard on this thing too. Close that out and do it again. Let me show.
Yeah, when you click share screen, it'll add to the queue.
Okay.
I'm gonna show you a prime example. Marvin Edward Bay.
It's on.
Yes, sir. Share your screen real quick, brother, and tell them exactly what you're doing when you share your screen.
Okay, I hit present, then I hit share screen, then over on the share screen tips. Anyway, just say share, and then here, okay, I click share system audio. But what I do is I go down to my start window. Well, actually, I can go back to the program over here. Like if I go here, do you see that?
You got to present it again.
Yeah, I don't see anything.
You got to present it. I'm like present it like you presented it early.
Okay, well, let me.
So I can put you in queue and tell them what you hidden while you doing it.
Oh, okay. I actually got to click on that window that's being shown, and then I hit share. Like that. Can you see anything?
Okay. Yeah, I see it right now. I'm gonna put you in the queue.
Okay.
Now,
right.
what window that you click on?
Okay, from there, I just go down to whatever thing I want to open.
Yeah.
I want to go there. See that?
Right. That's what I'm saying. What window you clicked on?
Well, see, I go to my taskbar.
That's right. Your tax bar. That's right. And it's showing everything you got up there, right?
Yeah. It go
and then
there.
You just click on whatever you want to share.
Right, exactly.
Just like the Zoom.
Yeah. It's pretty much the same. Yeah, but you have to look at what you want to put up there. Actually, you see,
right. You got to select what you want to put up there. That's right. I just do full screen though.
Well.
Yeah. And that way I'm showing everything. I ain't got to keep, because when I don't do that, I end up thinking I'm sharing something I ain't sharing. So I like to share the full screen. Well, the only reason I tab it is because I can see everything while I'm talking. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, no, I thought I did that whole screen, but just whatever.
Yeah, no, you all right. You all right. I just wanted to let them see how you was able to get in there.
Right. Okay.
Oh, okay. So
camera stop.
All right. Yeah, I just removed that. Go ahead. So what you got to do, Sister Curtis Bay, just like Zoom, when you open up share screen, you got to go over to the other side where it shows the links up in there. You got to click on one of them links.
Okay,
and one of them links that's up there that it show when it says share screen and it put the screen up there, then you just hit share. You know, you can share your full screen or you can share what you choose.
Mine coming up saying choose what.
Yeah, she got one of them apples, I think that's what it makes.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, but it still should if it's giving her the option to choose, it still should let her choose it and then it'll come up here. She just choose a random tab, Sister Curtis Bay, other than the one you're looking for, and let me see, will that let you come in here?
Okay.
Just choose and one of the links up there. And then hit the share after you choose whatever link it is. That blue bar that says share. And then I should see it pop up in the queue like Marvin Edwards Bay.
Yes. Share. Hit go. Okay, I'm gonna hit share screen. All right, and then what comes up is say screen sharing tips, and then it says screen sharing is easy with.
Okay.
So what I do there, hit share screen. It has got a big blue box that says share screen again.
Okay.
Yeah, hit that
Hit share screen again. Okay.
and see what happens. Tell me what come up.
It say choose what to share.
Okay, now choose what you want to share.
Do I click over there then?
Yeah, just click on a random. A random, it don't matter. You know, we just trying to get you to get your screen. And
Okay.
then
Tell me you clicking the entire screen.
I'm clicking in entire screen and then hit share. It say share or cancel. So I hit share again.
okay, hit share. Let's see what happens.
Okay, now it's saying ears. Well, see, camera has lost permission to capture stream.
You say you lost connection.
Well, it's got three things saying up there. Saying one saying Chrome has lost permission to capture your screen to fit it. Go to it's telling me where to go.
Yeah, that's why it ain't sharing. It's cause your thing ain't giving it permission.
Permission, yeah.
Yeah, that's why it ain't sharing. Your computer is not giving it permission to share the screen.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow.
It would be, if that's a different computer, it would do the same thing on Zoom.
Right.
You wouldn't be able to share it. Something going on where you got to do the settings.
Mm-hmm.
You got to fix your settings in there.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Wow. I really worked hard on that, but I did do similar to what you did. But
you can send that PDF if you got it, you know, and I can present it for you. If you send what you have to my email, I can present it for you.
Oh, okay. Can you do that?
And then you can just tell me how to go.
Yeah. Hold on 1 second. Yeah. Forward.
Want to say peace and love to all the family that's in the chat as well. Honest to all of y'all that's looking in. Grand drawing, we give honors to you, brothers.
Listen to Shaheed.
Yes.
Yeah. Bro Shaheed, which one is what's your email address?
It's EgyptianAdept@gmail.com. You put the letter E and G in there, the rest should come up.
Yeah. Okay, I got you. You're gonna have to play with them. I can't see if he's showing up. That one chart, I just went down in the middle where they had the I think it was the Did you get the email, Dr. Shaheed?
I was waiting on you to tell me that you sent it, sister.
Oh, no.
Let me see. Yeah, Islam. Let me pull it up for you.
Okay.
Okay.
It ain't no biggie, but I redid the whole thing like you did, but I didn't put them out to the I didn't put the numerical value number like you did, and I just went in and rewrote, and I drew all of them in the ab-jab order.
Yeah, I see you wrote it out, huh?
Yeah, you told me
Good.
you took out a task.
Oh yeah, nothing wrong with that. Hands
Yeah,
on.
I wrote it out. I thought I did pretty good doing the drawings, but I got to figure out. And so what you're saying is you could actually do that on the computer.
Yeah, it's a little program I found. I may even find it, but now you write it on the paper, and it's got a template paper. You scan it, and then when you scan it up there, put your alphabet up there like I did.
Oh, okay.
You know, the problem is it keep coming back in the characters of the template, which is Arabic. So,
right.
And I'm trying to get it to come back in my font that I created.
Oh, okay.
You know, so I was able to create the font, but I'm trying to get it to where I can actually type in it. You see what I'm saying?
Right. That'll be easier than me. But once I started drawing them, I really was enjoying it. Drawing them, and I looked at that. I looked at that first one, because like you say, it's not in ab-jab order. It's they got the A-E, A-E, A-I, then the I, and really the vowels. And I just redid that whole thing and put them in ab-jab order. And I went across and drew all the alphabets. Is that the one? Let me see.
Okay. You want me just let me know which one you want to go to first. Okay, this is one of them here.
That's it there. That's it there. Is it in a way you can make it a little bit bigger?
Oh yeah. I can blow it all the way up.
Okay. And now that's the one I just went beside them and just put the alphabet on the side. But it's another one. Can you click on the other one? It's another one.
Okay, let me downside that. It should let me be able to. Well, I probably have to just go all the way out of it and then click on others. I got all of them up here.
Okay.
You just let me know which one it is.
That's it there. That's the one. Let me see. Yeah, that's the one I wrote in. Now that's in the ab-jab order. Except for my page, I run out of the page because when I printed it off, it didn't. It was I couldn't print it all of it off, but I left one letter out. But that's what I did. That's the actual ab-jab order from the other page. What you was looking at. That's the way it's supposed to look. But I drew everything out. And you see that little small column there, that's the ab-jab order. I got the A, B, G, D, H, W, Z, H. So that's the way I did mine. And
okay. Yeah, you rearrange the letters and all that. Okay.
But
yeah. Nothing wrong with using that chart.
Yeah, and like I say, I didn't know you want us to put. I didn't put the numerical value out there either.
No, that's all right. That's all right. I didn't say that in the assignment. I just did that, to go ahead and completely put it together so we can have a working model.
Oh, okay.
But I didn't actually in the chart that I showed, and I did this for reasons, that we spoke of earlier, as far as when we go out to deal with our definitions. I didn't actually put the exact alphabets next to those numerical values if you really look at it.
Oh, okay.
You got to go back and put it together with when I put it in the ab-jab order.
Uh-huh.
to see exactly what it was that I did. But that's a whole nother measure. We'll get into that, mashallah, in due time.
Oh, okay, okay, and yeah, and that's what I was so excited about, just to show this one. Like I say, I worked hard on that thing to do the little writing, and like I said, I drew all of them, but that's the actual ab-jab order,
Yeah, yeah.
versus the other page, and then
Right.
is
No, I was saying right. I said we see your work is what I was getting at.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and then the other one that you had up, I just kind of put the ab jab order out there, and I was gonna try to draw the lines to it, but I felt like I said, well, that's gonna be too confusing, because they are not in ab jab order, and I was gonna draw where they had say where they had they GH at. I was gonna draw the line to where it really supposed to be in the ab jab order, but then
Mhm.
I felt like I say, well, that might be a little bit too confusing to try to show. And since I was taking a picture of it and then sending it to my email, I thought that might have been a little bit more confusing. So what I did is I just took the whole just rearranged the whole chart. I put the whole chart in ab-jab order.
Yeah, that's you did a good job in using the alphabet. In the one I used, it just had a whole lot more signs, but you worked with what you had and you did a good job, I would say.
Yeah, and then I wanted to wait to see if that's the way you wanted us to go, and was there a better way? Because it took me a whole day to do that.
Oh no, it's all right. It's all right. You did a good job. I mean, what it does is once we learn the aspect of abjad in these charts, when we come across something that we see out of order, it's all good if we decide, we say, all right, here's a chart here, ancient language, it ain't abjad. Let me see what happened when
Yeah,
that's a good exercise to be able to demonstrate and work with Islam.
right, and plus I got. You remember back when we first started, you was talking about getting those little pins. What you call them? The pens what you can write the ab jabs, write that writing with. What
Mm-hmm.
is CALIGA?
Calligraphy.
Calligraphic pens.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's what I tried to use on this chart here, to try to
Yeah.
make it look as close to what they had as possible.
Right, right. Well, that'll be good too when it come to trying to even write in the language, as we showed you how we wrote a little something out.
Uh-huh.
Once we get into the essence of that, and ones go to practicing, that'll be a good pen for you.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Islam.
it's and that's the only one. That's the only one I want you to pull up, because, like I say, the other ones, the other two, I just put the ab jab beside it, and like I
Right.
say, I was gonna just talk that one through, show you what it should have been, but I couldn't understand why they put it in that order. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
like you say, I don't know if they were trying to sound shift. I don't know why they had it in that order. All I knew, it wasn't in the ab jab order. And
Mm-hmm.
then the other chart that you had up, they have the vowels, like you say. I didn't realize. Well, I did realize, because we the one gave languages to the world, so we the one come up with the vowels. But they had the vowels like the A, E, I, O, U in the other charts, and then uh, um, some of them is like our alphabet that we have, and they had our alphabet, not it wasn't in the ab-jab order. And so but like I said, I didn't get a chance to write all of it down. I wanted to make sure I was going in the right direction first, and then I go back I'll put them in the ab-jab order, like I did this one. But I guess I do more, kind of put it more like you had yours, put it to the side, maybe make a column and put it to the side.
Mm. All is well. And like I said, you did a good job here because you put everything on point. But I just did that, just for the sake of the supporting of the class.
Okay.
Like I say, putting everything in order because we gonna have to have it all the way in order to be able to utilize it.
Right.
So that's
Right.
why I did that. You know what I mean? Like I say, I didn't put them details in there for you to have to go through the rest of that measure. Islam.
Oh, okay.
Because
Islam.
I already knew it was a task just to deal with the abjad, so I wasn't trying to put all
Yes.
that on you. You know what I mean?
Yes, indeed, it was. But like I say, I
Mhm.
enjoyed doing it though. It just took me. I'm slow. It just took me a long time. That's all. But
No, you just moving at a pace.
yeah,
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Take your time.
yeah, I'm moving at my little old pace. So, but Islam, that's all. That's what I have. And gratitude, y'all. Appreciate you for helping me to figure this thing out. And now I got to practice on how to present this with this on this Apple, how to do this live, how to share with this live screen, because I ain't picking up on how to do this, and I definitely don't want to always have to send you my email, send you my homework and let you share it from that end. So, but we'll figure it out. We gonna get this thing right. So, gratitude, God, man, for all your patience, and gratitude, family, for y'all bearing with me. I'm trying.
Islam. Praise
Islam,
Allah. Gratitude, sis, for the measure.
Islam.
Islamism. All right. Yeah, that's a powerful demonstration right there. You know, we always say we give honors to effort because some of our people refuse to try. Islam. All right. So we have our brother Bati Bey and our Grand National Secretary of the State that's left. Islam, brother Bati Bey, did you get it together yet? Oh, he ain't even on the panel right now. Hold up, there you go, right there. Hold up, I gotta add him back to the queue, fam. There you go. All right, brother Bati Bey, you ready?
I sent it to you after you said send it because I figured that would be easier to me instead of me rummaging through this on here.
Oh, when I told her to send her and you sent your too?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Islam. All right. Yeah, you gotta when it comes to it, you gotta make sure your stuff is synced up too. And then it'll probably be better. You gotta make sure your computer, you're allowing it to share. It's the same as you sharing in StreamYard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about real quick. Okay.
And this is, you see all them screens right there that you have side by side each other? Yep. I might have clicked on the wrong one. I clicked on the one that just showed the picture, and it looks like you could choose which one.
Right. Okay. I want to show you this real quick. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna put present up here. Screen share. Just hit share screen. See, when I put share screen, I'm gonna tell you what come up on my side. It says entire screen window or Chrome tab, which is the same thing that should come up on your side as well. So what happens is when it come up, the actual screen that's showing up there, because it show what we looking at right now. You click on that. Once you click on that, blue outline go around and then the share tab come up. And so now I click that share tab and now my screen is shared. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, it's as simple as that. You just click that share tab and it come in. Let me share your nope, don't remove it. Please don't do that. Let me add it back to the screen. Okay, there we go. So let me go and pull up your demonstration over here, Grand Man. Can you see that share?
Islam, we do.
Brother Bati Bey, is he there?
Islam. That's it right there. Yep.
Okay, Islam. So which one you want me to share first?
The bigger one. The one
Okay.
to the right. Yeah.
Hold up. Give me 1 second here. Okay, that one right there.
Yes. Yeah. That one. And this is coming off of that Egyptian one that
That's
said,
the same one Kurt Bay used, basically.
yeah, that same one. I believe it was the first one that came through the first one on the charts that came through, and
Right.
I did it from the Mustafa Gadala's. I took his Aleph Bet, but that seems to be more the what they call the Hebrew tech, the Hebrew alphabet sequence. That abjad, and then I just went through and I took all the and I just sorted them. And really, when we're looking at these, it seems like some of these could be used for sound shift, like you were saying. And I realized that doing it like that, putting the adjab on the side, I even tried to do it in an Excel format, but I couldn't find the letters in order to do it because I would have just lined up every single one of those charts row by row, and it would do it if I could change the alphabet, and then it would be able to pull the ones that look alike. Like we got doubles on the premise, and I believe when it says premise, it's just talking about the initial. That's when they first started the language about this time, and that's where it started, and it earlier, and then it grows into the, I believe, what is the seven dynasty? Is that what it was, or the seventh dynasty? Is that what that was talking about?
Yeah, that look more like 18th dynasty, 12th dynasty, 18th dynasty, because X represent the number 10.
10. Yeah, I was just
and V11 is 8.
Yeah, I misspoke.
Yeah. And the other says prehistory.
Prehistory, okay.
Yeah, prehistoric. And the other say early.
And I noticed that with these, when you have the ones that got double different types in here, that could be due because it fits somewhere else. If we're looking at the sound shift from the letters and what other letters represents, like when Mustafa Gadala had in his book where the W, I believe was similar to the V. I want to say V or
yeah, it's interchangeable with the letter V.
Yeah, so I believe that might have been a sound shift in that, and that could be used as that, or even if we're looking at the beginning, middle, and then like in the Arabic text, we have the initial, the middle, and the end. That could be done in that format too, when we're as constructing our own language sequence. And I just went through and did this as far as what I grasped from it, and the other one is just what the Romans had down. The other piece of paper is just what the Romans had down, and that's about it. So,
Islam, and like I said, this was a measure where we put it out there, and we expected our Moorish kin, and it's good y'all all referencing, the sound shifting measure, but these are the charts that y'all choose to work with, and that's what it was. We wasn't really dealing with having to deal with a specific one per se, but the main measure is trying to put the task to this here. And I knew, like I said, it would be a difficult task, but we just all this fired the neurons in the mind, you know what I mean? And what make one more interested in the learning. So that's what it does. It pushes us to go to the highest of the heights, so to speak. So we give honors to you, grand man.
Is there a way? Do they have this on the computer, like in typing form? Because I tried to use how you go into the
not
fonts?
Yeah, they don't have this in typing form.
Okay.
Now if you go through other languages such as the Phoenician and all that, because they have similar alphabets, some of those alphabets are the same as these alphabets, but they mean differently, basically. You know what I mean? So if one were to take those signs right there and then reconfigure them, you might do it. But that's why I had actually put everything together. I'm just trying to figure out how to get it to where we can actually type in it, and then we actually have the font, so to speak. We working on that. So and I ain't far off. We're gonna see what the demonstration is. So Islam. Yes, sir. Anything else, my brother?
No. Peace and love, gratitude.
Okay, yeah, this is a grand job as well. Yes, sir. We give honors to you for demonstrating that effort. Yes, sir. Okay. Well, we have our Grand National Secretary of the State, Sister Sheptu Rakatma and Putu to come, and I think she our last. Yeah. Yeah, I already know you tried to come in early, sister.
No. Islam. Praise Allah. Islam Moorish can first follow and rise, giving all praises to our Father God Allah, giving honor to our Prophet, Noble Dur Ali, the last prophet in these days and times, giving honor to our E.A.R.S class, to all of those that open our meeting according to law, to Act 1, and also giving honor to you, National Assistant Grand Sheikh. This has been a very powerful class. I give much honor to all of my Moorish kin on this line today, and to our family, of course. Definitely, when you were speaking about the realm of going in depth, this was no joke. Now, I'm going to share my screen briefly, inshallah.
Oh, we know you got it. Yes, Lord. Yeah, as soon as you put it in queue, we got you, Grand Secretary of the State.
All right.
Yeah, once it pull it up, there you go. See there? Now.
Can you see me?
Oh yeah, there you go.
Praise Allah.
Islam, let me blow it up for you so everybody can see it. Islam.
All right. Well, the assignment arranged 28 Egyptian alphabets as seen in the charts, included in this email in abjad order. Now, what I did not write the symbols down. I basically took the charts that was in the email that you sent out and put it in half so that I could number one, see the letters. And what I did on my paper, and when I went to, of course, screenshot this paper and also put it in here, of course, the data was full. It wasn't letting me do that. So I'm like, I'm just going from my paper. As far as what I did was 3 columns on one side of the paper, 3 columns on the back side of my paper. And I just wrote down in each of the 6 columns representing each of these 6 charts, the abjad coming from Mustafa Gondola, and then noting where were the differences and similarities. So now for this first one, dealing with the Egyptian, Cretan, Carian, and Spanish, I noticed that, of course, the vowels were up here, as you stated before, the A, E, I, O, U. And that being Aleph, and then I went to, and of course, you see after that W, you see the B, G, D, all right, which was the abjad. And like I said, I did not actually, as my Moorish kin did it, which I'm going to have to go back and do that, actually write it down because I wanted to get the 6 done and so that I could get to number 2. So with the V, I noticed the sound shifting V and W. Then you got the Z, and I had question mark with the H and the T as far as the abjad is concerned. And I was looking at down at the bottom, which was on the second slide, where they had the H and the T as far as following in abjad order. Then going back on this first slide, wait a minute. And I had to color code it too, so I can comprehend what was going on. The DH and the TH, I picked it up on the bottom of that first chart where you had the, let's see. Started with Q. Hold on, Moorish Ken. Let me go back to the first one. Hold on. Okay. After Z, HT, then came the Y, which we know sound shifts to I. The L, because I didn't see the K, and then following suit the MNS. And so that's how I did mine for all of the 6 slides. You know, trying to see where I could pick up the ab-jab order. Okay, and with the second one, same thing. We're noticing it had the A and the vowels up front. And then at the bottom, it picked back up on the B's going down, which you pointed out in class, the D's and the G. So that one was really short as far as checking that out. As far as the next chart, the Nord-Oriental, I looked at the letters on this side as far as the vowels in the front. And I didn't really pick it up until I got to the M, N, and the R. So basically it was shuffling those like I did on the first one. And you can see the G and the D. So like you stated, definitely they weren't in order, but I was putting it in order on my paper. And that's what I did for basically the charts. I tried to see, you know, how close it was to the ab-jab demonstration. And with the Karya, A's up here, the B, G, D, and following suit. Like I said, I split up the 2 screens. Same with this one, the A, B, G, D, you know, basically following suit as far as these were concerned, which I did notice a lot of it did have it, but it was intermixed. That's right. And Egyptian, Greek, and Latin, that to me was the closest as far as following suit with what Mustafa Gondola had. So that's what I had as far as my assignment. I did not want to take the time out to handwrite it, but I will go back and do that now that I, you know, gratitude to my Moorish kin for bringing forth their measure. So that was my measure on the thing, and I'm gonna stop sharing. Gratitude.
Well, praise be to Allah and Islamism. And that's the measure. And the main thing, like we say, this particular alphabet is very, we can say, rare in expression, though we are pointing out there's another alphabet being referred to as Egyptian that many people don't know about. And we showed the connection to the writings, you know, in the Muabic. And we got a couple of more. We actually went over this before. And so Moors did a good job, you know, with putting this demonstration together. Like I say, I knew it would be a difficult task, and that's why I ended up going to do it the way I did. And like I said, it was gonna have to be done anyway, because we're talking about the structure, you know, of our language, you know, the mark, so to speak, the Mubarak, pardon self, the Muabic Mauri script being based off of that, we had to give the template. And we'll go into more when we go into the second phase of this demonstration that we'll be doing off the record, so to speak. But when we get into the definitions. But I would like to ask our Moorish kin, you know, in the closing of this special measure, what insight did you gain from the historical aspects of seeing this connection, Islam. We'll start back with Act 1 first and foremost, our Grand National Secretary of State. Islam.
Islam. Having already risen and given praise and honor where due. Praise Allah. Islam. Dr. Shaheed, that was so powerful what you brought forth in reference to. I love the way that you did the maps, the ancient maps, where you showed the hookup in reference coming out of Canaan, the Iberic side, how the Moors went west to the northwestern shores of Amexium, as the prophet stated. Also, the lower aspect of Lemuria, and showing the different migrations. So that for me was a grand blessing. And then it was like revelations went off when you went back to the charts. And now, because we could see the path of migration and name changes, and northwestern portion also dealing with Atlantis, it became even clearer in the mindset. So that now when we look at the various languages, you can now see the hookup and tying it together with the people and how they migrated. And another key for me was dealing with Lemuria and how Rome tried to define it, and how like coming from the book Celestial Ship of the North, how they defined it in reference to light beings and matching it up with Adam Codman, Ish and Isha. That was just a grand illustration. And for me, in reference to seeing the connection and the bond and bringing us even closer in reference to us being able to go back and find to our ancestors' way of thinking, and recognizing the fact of not just coming from chapter 1, but as you stated, the various resources coming through, we can see the creation and the fall, especially when they were speaking about the Elohim, because sometimes it takes different sources for you to be able to get a fuller picture of, the actual adapt lesson of what the prophet brought. So that for me was just a grand demonstration. I'm always how the prophet stated, I am going to repeat myself. Much gratitude to you, Dr. Shaheed, for making it plain. So that was my measure. I'm just, so humbled, and just much gratitude from the Creator that we are in this special class, receiving revelations from each other, and getting the teachings from our prophet, through our ancestors. So gratitude, more grand demonstration, peace and love.
And gratitude. Can you hear me, Grand National Secretary of the State?
Yes, I can.
Okay, Islam. This screen is going crazy over here. Like it's straight
Too
white.
much light.
I can't see y'all right now. So what I'm gonna do, stay on the panel. I'm finna close down and then try to reboot this demonstration, because it still should go on.
Okay.
We're gonna see. Because let me see. I'm gonna just try to close it down and open it back up. Give me 1 second, Moors. I don't know what wrong got going on up here. Hold up. I can see the screen flashing in intermittently, but it's going in and out. Let me see. I don't want this to mess up this broadcast. What in the world is going on here? I'm trying to. All right, we're going to go for it. Here we go. All right, can you hear me, Moorish Ken?
Loud and clear.
Yeah, I don't know what this little icon doing up here. Yeah, Rome, something else, boy. I tell you. I ain't like more. When I tell you this whole screen was blanking, like it's straight white now. I can't
Good
see none of the
gracious.
icon, couldn't see none of y'all. And I was listening to you and I was hoping my mic was still open.
Praise the
And
Lord.
this is crazy. And so when I was trying to do the Control Alt Delete demonstration, it wouldn't let me do that. So that's a whole nother measure. But I'm thankful that it didn't shut down, even though I just shut this whole computer down in order to come back up in. So at least I know I can do that. And it don't shut us out. So we give honors to you, Grand National Secretary of the State. But yeah, we definitely trying to. That's the drawing. Being able to give our people, an opportunity to see the actual origins and the history, of the language, the historicity. I actually had a measure up here that I didn't get into sharing, and I will present it briefly, because we know we got to move to our next task. And I actually have a measure here where there was one had did a research on the Ibero-Maurusians, and it was speaking of, who they was. This is an Ibero-Maurusian skull, direct ancestor of the indigenous population and direct ancestor of today's North Africans, Berber, which is a misnomer, dated about 15 to 12,000 years. So this is basically the Atlanteans that were present there, basically. It said it was found in one of the oldest human cemeteries in the world of Tafilorite. It says a paternal haplogroup EM35 and maternal haplogroup, which is U6A. 4 ancient Mediterranean lineages are descended from the E1B1B. EM35, Berber, M81, the Balkan, Neolithic Levant, and the Egyptian, the the M123 and the Egyptian, which is EV22. And these are the DNA results that they had in there dealing with this measure, E1B1A, and then the A1B1, which is automatically going into Kemet right there. Anytime you deal with that E1B1A, even the Moors of America and those who have people were featured in Morocco are a part of that E1B1A, coming through the lineage of the Ramesu, basically. So it's showing the charts on this right here of the connection. Not only that, it's telling you the Egyptian. So we see the connection between the Ibero-Maurusian and the Egyptian, hence Iberic Egyptian language, going back to that same special area, which is where Tahuti himself, came through to go into Kemet. So this is a powerful demonstration. We give honors to the one who had actually put this out here, archaeology, history, and culture. They actually showed the derivatives of the E1B1B and the 1A, and it's showing you that the original inhabitants of Europe, North Africa, Arabia, and all of that was our people, family. Can't nobody deny it. Before the European was there, we was there. Now, how they love that. When we say we indigenous to the planet, it don't get no plainer than that. So I just wanted to add that to the demonstration as well, since we speaking on being descendants of the ancient ones, the return of the ancient ones, the Lemurian civilization, Atlantean civilization, and so forth and so on. This is real deal, family. This is nothing that is made up. And for those who would like to know what Atlantis is, all you got to do is go here. We can go many places, but we showed this in the past, and those who see my videos already know where I'm going. This is called the Richat structure. You see? And these are many different pictures of it, but there are videos that's actually demonstrated on this demonstration as well. This is most definitely the structure that was built, and you can actually see the different expressions right here where they are showing, this demonstration.
Islam, more. Are you showing it on the screen?
is acting crazy again.
Yeah, we can't see
Oh,
anything.
goodness gracious. I should have figured that. So yeah, did you see the portion where I was presenting? You didn't even see the portion where I presented what I was saying about the archaeology, did you?
Yeah, the E1, yeah, we saw that, and
Oh,
the
you saw that?
E1, D1, we saw that. Yeah,
Okay, so when I shift out of it, that's when it
right.
changed up on me. Gotcha. Islam. So praise be to Allah. So yeah, we have here, you know, and everybody, this is viral right now. This was just recently shown, as we keep showing the people. You know, this is the actual place. I actually would like to go into the let me see if I can get to the videos up here just to show our family where they can go and look this stuff up, where people actually are on the site. You know what I mean? That's just another one of the newspaper reports. That's recent in October 2022. You know, Atlantis hidden in plain sight in the Sahara. You see? So this thing is still trending. This is a European that went over there to the site. You know, we ain't worried about getting into the aspect of the national or the one.
Completely unnoticed.
But we're going to show you him over there on the site. You know, that's our main thing. We're looking at the information. We ain't trying to shoot the message.
Kilometers. This particular photo does not to of land flowing into it.
And one day, mashallah, we'll probably end up being able to take the trip and go over there.
Remnants of Atlantis are now under the Sahara Desert.
I'm trying to show.
Now here, opened up to the sea, which again, if the sea were further inland.
And that's where he's showing actually where it flowed off into the sea. Because it actually, you can see the mud flats right there was running off over into the Mauri Atlantic, you know, the Atlantic Ocean. You know, but yeah, we'll let our family see what
likely places for its existence. And no, I am not about to suggest that Antarctica is the hidden location of Atlantis either. Because in this video, I'm going to use the exact words that Plato used to describe Atlantis, its location, and the geographical land features that surround it, which were recorded in Plato's dialogues, the Critias and the Timaeus. And many people are not even aware that the information contained in Plato's writings of Atlantis actually originate from the ancient Egyptians. And the details that Plato shared of Atlantis, which I'm about to share with you in a side-by-side comparison, will show you that the Ricard structure located in Mauritania, Africa, also commonly referred to as the Eye of the Sahara or the Eye of Africa, which most people have never even heard of, by the way, is the most likely location for the lost city of Atlantis, as it matches so many precise details of what Plato wrote. But it must first be mentioned that according to mainstream academics and historians, the legend of Atlantis is simply fictional and has been commonly referred to as a myth or even pseudo-history, which completely contradicts Plato and Solon, which described an empire referred to as Atlantis, which was known for being technologically advanced, with noble and powerful people possessing vast wealth, luxury, and knowledge, and even military superiority, and is described as being destroyed in a single day and night of misfortune, which caused the island of Atlantis to disappear into the depths of the sea, related to a massive earthquake and likely a tsunami. So first things
now,
first,
if you notice that, they'll notice it said 360 BC. I just caught that because that's the same time that the Ptolemies end up coming in later. I'm talking about 360 BC on when Plato was said to have recorded this information. You know, that's something else. That's interesting.
All the information about Atlantis from Solon, who was his ancestral relative separated by 6 generations. Solon was born in Athens, Greece, some 2,600 years ago, and was an Athenian statesman, lawmaker, and poet, remembered particularly for his efforts to legislate against political corruption and economic and social decline in Athens. He was known to be a person of wisdom and outstanding character. In Solon's later years, he traveled to Egypt in the search of knowledge, and Egypt at that time had the longest documented historical records available. And he visited Neph's temple at Sais, where he learned of the history of Atlantis from a high Egyptian priest who translated the hieroglyphs that were carved into stone within the temple, which also described that Egypt was once a colony of the Empire of Atlantis. And these temples
Now let's
no longer
stop right
exist
there.
today.
Now notice they saying this individual translated hieroglyphic that was carved in the stone. Now this is before Champollion, so to speak. So we ain't gonna go there in this particular demonstration. But nevertheless, what it's showing us is that this story was told in Kemet before it was told by the Greeks.
As it was destroyed long ago when it was consumed by what is now the Nile Delta swamplands. However, thanks to Solon's detailed notes, the information was retained and kept for 6 generations within Plato's family before it was published by Plato himself in the Critias and the Timaeus dialogues approximately 2,400 years ago. So one of the first things to point out is the supposed date of Atlantis' destruction, according to what Solon had learned while visiting Egypt, which was that the event that destroyed the lost city had occurred 9,000 years earlier, which is a very interesting time frame, considering that Solon visited Egypt 2,600 years ago. And 9,000...
Now y'all remember when I showed y'all that 9,000 year ago map, not map, but timeline that was given in the information I showed you in the PDF.
years plus 2,600 years equates to 11,600 years before present time today, which just so happens to coincide with the Younger Dryas climate catastrophe, which of course I've discussed in many other videos. Long story short, to anyone that's not familiar or new to the channel, there was a massive change in global temperatures, sea levels fluctuated, a massive extinction event of 75% of mammals in North America occurred. There's even evidence of global fires said to have been larger than the ones that occurred during the extinction event that killed off the dinosaurs, scorching at least 10% of the Earth's land surface. The evidence for this event is scientifically overwhelming and is likely related to a fragmented comet. And the point is that it's very likely that this event is related in some way to the destruction of Atlantis. And for more details, I highly recommend you look into the brilliant work of Randall Carlson and Graham Hancock. But what are the odds that this date of 11,600 years ago would match so perfectly? And that's not the only thing that matches up so closely. Most notably, Atlantis was said to be made up of concentric circles, 3 rings of water and 2 of land. In fact, here are Plato's exact words. There were alternate zones of sea and land, larger and smaller, encircling one another. There were 2 of land and 3 of water, which were turned as if with a lathe, each having its circumference equidistant every way from the center. And here you can see a few animated examples of what people have created based off of Plato's description of Atlantis. Now, compare this to the Ricard structure. Just look at this. The first thing that you must understand when you see this is that this is far larger than it looks. For example, this photo right here was taken from high altitude, and what you're seeing is something around 20 miles across, or 32 kilometers. And this particular photo does not even show the entire structure, which is approximately 30 miles or 48 kilometers across. And this site can really only be appreciated from space.
Now you know how long 30 miles is, family? Can you imagine a city? Goodness gracious.
And satellite imagery, as it covers a vast area. In fact, the Ricard structure wasn't even discovered until the Gemini 4 mission in 1965 and is now a common landmark utilized by astronauts. This thing was hiding in plain sight for thousands of years, but when you look at photos of it from the ground, you have no idea what you're looking at. Only from the sky can you understand that you are part of this massive structure containing circles within circles. And in this example, you can see one of the outer rings in the distance, yet from the ground, it just looks like a hill. It's remarkable at just how much it does resemble an eye, and it makes perfect sense as to why it was given the nickname of the Eye of the Sahara and the Eye of Africa. And by the way, it is located approximately 250 miles or 400 kilometers inland off the coast of West Africa in a very remote area, which is rarely visited and again, unknown.
So y'all see this here, family. Now, they'll tell you that we made this stuff up. So you see the actual footage of this stuff right here. And they're telling you where it's at.
To most people. What's even more fascinating than its size and shape is that scientists do not know what it is or how it was formed, although they do think that it is natural, and it was first theorized to have been an impact site from a meteor. But that was ruled out as there is no evidence of an impact. In fact, scientists have never seen anything like this anywhere else throughout the entire world. The number one guess is that it was probably formed around 100 million years ago as the supercontinent Pangaea was ripped apart by plate tectonics in what is now Africa and South America.
All right, now they talking about the prophet now. You know that what the prophet said. He spoke of that oneness and he talked about the separation as well.
That molten rock was pushed upwards towards the surface, but never made it all the way through, thus creating a dome of rock layers. And they suggest that at some point around 100 million years ago, the eye of the structure erupted, collapsing the bubble, which makes up the center part of the structure, and erosion did the rest of the work to create what you see today, which is clearly heavily eroded. But this, of course, is all speculation as it cannot be proven. And again, we've never seen anything like this anywhere else throughout the world. But here's where things start to get really interesting. It just so happens that the diameter of its outer circle is approximately 23.5 kilometers or 14.5 miles, which is basically equivalent to the size and dimensions provided by Plato when converting from stadia to modern measurements. For example, the circular island of Atlantis was described as being 127 stadia. Well, one stadia is 607 feet, and 607 feet times 127 stadia is 77,089 feet. Convert that measurement, and that is 23.5 kilometers. I measured this numerous times on Google Earth, and I got anywhere from 21 kilometers to 24 kilometers. Most of my measurements were 22 kilometers in diameter. And again, this is virtually identical to Plato's and Solon's documentation. And although my own measurements through Google Earth cannot be considered exact, it is unbelievably close. So where we're at so far is that the Ricard structure matches Plato's description of having 3 circles of water and 2 of land, which is what you would see at the Ricard based off its design if there were water flowing into it. And not only that, the diameter of the outer circles matches the size described by Plato within a very small margin, if not identical. But this next detail that Plato describes is extremely interesting. He stated, in quote, "The mountains of the island of Atlantis was celebrated for their number and size and beauty," adding that the surrounding mountains of the city flowed with rivers, and this part of the island looked toward the south and was sheltered from the north. So he is stating that the mountains were on the north side, sheltering the city to the south, which is exactly what you see at the Ricard. And the mountains are on the north side, but not only that. When you look at detailed satellite photography, you can see the evidence of multiple rivers that were spilling over the side of the mountains towards Atlantis. Can you imagine what this place looked like when it wasn't so dry? Just like Plato stated, the mountains of the island of Atlantis were celebrated for their number and size and beauty. And it's a shame that the Ricard is so remote and visited so rarely, as there are so few pictures available of the view of these mountains when standing at ground level. But I can just imagine that these mountains were lush and beautiful green with rivers and waterfalls pouring over these mountains. And the rivers were clearly there. We can see that. So it's certain that this place once looked much differently than the barren, dry desert that we see today. And this clearly matches Plato's description, and it becomes even more compelling when you consider that Plato stated that the city of Atlantis opened up to the sea at the south. Well, look at these photos where you can see that there is an opening at the south of the Ricard structure. So if there was once water here, and if it neighbored the sea, this would further match Plato's description. I mean, doesn't this match what a waterway outlet would look like? And not only that, doesn't the entire region look like it was blasted by flowing water or a tsunami? You can see the striations in the land going from west to east from the ocean. Tell me that this doesn't look like a massive wave or a steady flow of water completely altered the terrain. And it's also worth mentioning that scientists have emphasized that the Ricard is heavily eroded, which the circular walls clearly show us. Now, consider Plato's exact words in regards to the aftermath of the cataclysm. Quote, "Atlantis is part of the Atlantic which is no longer accessible by ship. Atlantis, when sunk by the earthquake, became an impassable barrier of mud to voyagers sailing from hence to any part of the ocean. In other words, it became landlocked." Again, if this is the site of Atlantis, and if the details shared by Solon and Plato are true, and if the Ricard structure was the site of Atlantis, then it's not hard to see that perhaps a lot of sand or mud was pushed into Africa from the ocean during some sort of catastrophic event. And let's not forget the key detail that he mentioned regarding that the area surrounding Atlantis was a level plain which was smooth and even. Is this not another match when compared to the Ricard? Because here you can see multiple views and angles of it. And Plato said that Atlantis was sheltered by mountains to the north that were facing the south, and that the south part of Atlantis opened to the sea. So isn't that what we're seeing here, assuming that the ocean was once much further inland? And something else we should consider is that the sands of the Sahara actually originate from the sea. An interesting fact that many people are not aware of. And just to give you a comparison of just how massive this region is, compared to the size of the United States, perhaps the remnants of Atlantis are now under the Sahara Desert. Now here is another geological detail that matches Plato's description. He stated, quote, "The stone which they quarried was white, another black, and a third red," going on to say that the main city was constructed with red, black, and white rocks. This region just so happens to have endless amounts of loose rock which match these colors, particularly black and red, but we also see lighter colors mixed in with them as well. And real quick, what you're looking at are a few screenshots from an outstanding documentary titled Visiting Atlantis, which was filmed in 2011 by George S. Alexander and Nathalise Rosen. And this documentary was the inspiration for my video, and I highly recommend you visit their website, visitingatlantis.com, for more details. And in fact, this video is currently only available on the Gaia network. That documentary goes on to point out that the center island of the Ricard has fresh spring water that flows from it. And this here is a not so great screenshot from that documentary where the locals dug a well to prove that fresh spring water flowed from the center island of the Ricard, despite the fact that the underground water in the surrounding area is all salt water, which is interesting considering that this is 250 miles from the ocean. Perhaps further evidence that this site once met the sea. This detail about the fresh spring water coming out of the center island is significant when you compare it to what Plato said, quote, "The god Poseidon found no difficulty in making special arrangements for the center island, bringing up two springs of water from beneath the earth, one of warm water, the other of cold." And he also specifically stated that a well near the central Acropolis provided the city with fresh water. So let's take a second to consider all the details regarding the Eye of the Sahara and Plato's description of Atlantis. First, Atlantis was said to have been destroyed 11,600 years ago, coinciding precisely with the Younger Dryas climate catastrophe. It's a circular structure that would have been made up of 3 rings of water and 2 of land, which would be the case at the Ricard if it had water in it. It has a diameter of 23.5 kilometers, which matches Plato's description of it. There are mountains to the north, which also have evidence of rivers flowing over them, just as Plato described. The entire area is surrounded by a vast plain. The south opened up to the sea, which again, if the sea were further inland, it would match the description. And if there was a tsunami that cut Atlantis off from the ocean with mud, as Plato described, then you can see in the satellite imagery how this would be possible. The center island also had fresh spring water, just as described by Plato, and despite the fact that the surrounding area has salt water underground. And the region also has black, red, and lighter color rocks. And there are other details described by Plato that I haven't even mentioned, such as that there were a great number of elephants on the island. And the documentary Visiting Atlantis pointed out that many skeletal remains of elephants have been found in the area and are even depicted on ancient rock art in the area as well. And there are other details to support that there was once a civilization there. For example, the discovered artifacts of tools and gold jewelry. And this is very interesting considering that the Ricard structure is in a remote area of the Western Sahara. But it's not just that. Plato described that Atlantis had an abundance of copper and gold. Well, Mauritania today, their #1 exports are iron, copper, and gold. Now, obviously, when you consider everything that Plato said about it, the Ricard structure is a very compelling case that must be considered. However, there is one significant detail which would exclude this site as a possible location of Atlantis, and that is its elevation being 1,300 feet above sea level. And even though the Earth's sea levels were some 400 feet higher during the height of the last ice age, that is still a considerable gap. That is unless the geography of the region was much different and the land was pushed up due to the movement of plate tectonics, which, let's not forget, the theory proposed by scientists as to the formation of the Ricard structure was that it was, quote, uplifted by molten rock that was pushed towards the surface from underneath. So consider Antarctica as an example in that the bedrock that sits below the continent laying underneath the ice is rising. And this is occurring at a very slow rate, and I am not suggesting that this is exactly what happened to the Ricard structure. I'm simply pointing out that we should consider that some plate movement may happen much quicker under certain situations that we are not yet familiar with. I mean, we were shocked to learn that the 2011 Japanese earthquake and tsunami moved the coast of mainland Japan by 8 feet in a matter of moments, and even shifted the Earth's axis. So we must consider that we don't even know what the Ricard structure is or how it was actually formed. And considering that it is so unusual, we must open our minds to new possibilities. If the Ricard structure is indeed Atlantis, then we have to ask ourselves whether this unusual land feature is natural or could it be man-made? Is it possible that what we're looking at is a man-made creation, or perhaps could it be a combination? A very unusual land feature that humans took over and modified to be an oasis for a civilization. You want to hear another fascinating detail? So the legend of Atlantis states that it was an empire made up of 10 kingdoms, and the island of Atlantis was the capital. And the god Poseidon gave birth to 5 sets of twins, so 10 children, and each one of those children went on to rule each one of those 10 kingdoms. So allegedly, Poseidon had 5 sets of twins. Does anyone want to guess what part of the world has the highest birth rate of twins per capita? Nigeria. That is one interesting fact considering its geographical proximity to Mauritania and the Ricard structure. So although we cannot say with absolute certainty that Atlantis actually existed or that the Ricard structure would be the location of it, it obviously has some very compelling and specific similarities to Solon's and Plato's description. Like I mentioned earlier, according to the experts, Atlantis is just a fictional story that Plato made up to encourage better behavior among governments and its citizens. And modern academics are saying that the story of Atlantis must be false. Yet Plato and Solon were known for their brilliance of mind and strength of character. And this is the only example, at least that I'm aware of, where they were ever accused of lying about something. And the Egyptian description of Atlantis at the Temple of Neith in Sais, Egypt, no longer exists today, although perhaps those stones could be found underneath the Nile River somewhere, but it did exist for several hundred years, possibly a millennia. And I'm having difficulty finding an exact date on the temple's destruction by the Nile River, but it was long after Solon and Plato had died. So why would Solon and Plato lie about something that could be verified back then, as it was common for people to travel to Egypt, and the temple still existed at that time? And by the way, I have to point out something really interesting and, well, honestly, a bit disturbing, which is that if you go to the Wikipedia page of the Ricard structure, you will not find one single word about Atlantis. And when you go to the Atlantis page on Wikipedia, you will not find one single word about the Ricard structure either. In fact, if you go to the page related to various hypotheses for the location of Atlantis, you will not find one single word related to the Ricard structure or the Eye of Africa. Nothing. And guess what else? Wiki has locked their page on Atlantis, only allowing certain unknown individuals the capability of editing the page. But whoever created it certainly made sure to mention the words pseudo-history in the first few sentences for all to see. So there is actually a lot more information to share about what Plato stated about Atlantis, and I was going to share it all in this one video, but this is getting so long, so now I'm going to make a part 2, which will probably be my next video as I already have all the information put together. I may wait, and if some new headline makes the news, I might make that video first, but be expecting that very soon because there are so many details to share about the people of Atlantis and specifics about the kingdom itself, which you will find fascinating because these details haven't really been shared and you wouldn't know about it unless you go looking for the information yourself. So with all this said, I guess I'll close it up there, but leave a comment and share your thoughts on all of this and definitely hit the like button and subscribe, but I'll leave it at that. I'm Jimmy, this is Bright Insights.
Islam. And so what we see, Moorish King, is that European locked the page up. Goodness gracious. And now what we see is a story that's coming out of Egypt. The first time they called Plato and them liars, and the reason for this would automatically go back to the fact that this is an African people speaking on a history that's been confirmed by the European themselves and everything that he pointed out. And the only reason he won't go forth with saying the measure because they have put pseudo history up there. You see what I'm saying? This is terrible, family. A terrible cover up when it comes to dealing with historical information. They would lock the page and try to hide this information, all because their own scholars say that they got it from Egypt, right? And then all the stuff that you see there that was placed out there, the evidence that's there, indirectly, we already know that guy, believed that that is the city of Atlantis, but he won't say so because of the Western academy. You know what I mean? But that's the depths that they will go to cover up the history of our people. And then some of our people eat that up on a platter. And they go to saying the same thing. It's terrible. You know what I mean? They would rather say, just like the same thing with the pyramid, they'll rather say aliens created them than admit that our people was on the manifest. And that's why we got the pen in our hand now. You've seen it. And even when they coming back into the landing, they tell you that they are using this particular site, the Eye of the Sahara, as an entry point. So let me open up the floor to my Moorish kin real quick as well before we go to this other brief measure that we have to go into. So Islam, let me stop sharing this screen, and we're gonna open up for our other Moorish kin so that they can speak. Islam Moors, what have you to say about this special demonstration?
Islam?
Islam.
Islam. Are we specifically talking about the video or
Yeah,
just?
yeah. I mean that in line with us going into the history of the language and everything. Your thoughts on all of it.
Islam. And President has already given. And one thing that I'm even when I was younger, I knew we came from. I had a sense that we came from something great. And even that story I told y'all about the square, the star fitting in the circle, I knew we came from somewhere great. I just didn't know how. And you know what I'm saying? And I don't understand how people, even in the biblical and text, could deny that the language started in Africa when they said there was all one. It says it in the Bible that there was all one people that spoke one language. And when they started seeing and this is about the time, I believe, the Tower of Pisa, they split the nations up, and then they started coming up with different languages. Well, we can see that now looking at the abjad, that is something that you could bet that it more likely happened. Was it to the context of what the Bible says? I can't say yay or nay on that. But what I do know is that when you're looking at the abjad and the alphabetical sequence, and even the tonal or the sound shifting of the letters, it shows that all this came from one people, and everything else just spread out. You know what I'm saying? And this also goes back to why, you know what I'm saying, once you learn this is like, for instance, in every single science on earth, if you understand the original science, you can understand all sciences. If you understand binary codes, that means C++ will be easy. That means all the other computer programming will be easy because you understand that the epicenter of how all computers started. Same thing if somebody that understands binary code, they can understand DNA sequence because it's the same format, just in a different way. Same thing with the languages. If we're looking tracing back, it all lines up with each other to say that there is one people that this language came from. We all came from one people, but the credit just doesn't want to be given because we have the classic case of Jacob and Esau. And with that, leaves a coming piece. Islam.
That's right, in Islam. And the only reason they have a misrepresentation, even biblically, is because you're simply dealing with different flood eras to a certain degree. Some that took place at the same time, but some that took place at a different time. And that Tower of Babel and the language coming from one root, we proven that, based on the same language that some of our Moorish kin used in this class, dealing with the abjad. They had one particular language which became a lingua franca, so to speak, or more of a trade language later, a remnant of the old languages. But then each nation pretty much created their own language on the side of that language. And then you have different variations of language now. You know, some having more letters, some letters taken away, but most of them revolve around that abjad and sound shifting. Whether there are more letters that are added or some that were taken away. Islam. Gratitude, Brother Bati Bey. All right, Islam. All right. Is there any other measure?
Islam.
Okay, Sister Curtis Bay, we know she ready. She fired up. Come on, sister.
No, I was just when you were showing that picture, man, and like you say, they go to so much detail to try to cover up the truth. But I picked it up, and I don't know if it's any significant, but it just stood out to me when you were showing that, and when he was showing the skull, showing Africa. Africa is shaped like a skull, right? And then when he was talking about the eye. The reason they call it the eye of the Sahara, and where he had that little circle drawn at, if you would actually think about it, that what he was saying that eye would be it was in the skull. It would be in the exact place where really your pineal gland would be. And I just I man, you know me, my mind just going.
Oh man, that's powerful though.
I'm going way out there, brother. I'm like, man. I was like, I got to look at that again because that was so powerful. But it just goes to show you when you look at our Holy Quran and you look at the chapter 1 and you look at the creation and the fall of man, when you understand that, and then you looking at that what they talking about, oh man, this I mean, Brother Shahid, I don't have words to just say. I mean, I have to calm down because it's so exciting. That's powerful. But you got to understand what our prophet give us. You got to understand the creation and fall of man first, not that what we was taught about. In when we was in the Piscean era, you can't even go that way. You got to have the truth. But when I saw that, I wrote it down so I could remember what it was, the eye of the Sahara, and the reason why they call it the eye. And to me, we was still vibrating on a high level, even though we was vibrating down. We still hadn't fallen to the state that we are in now. We are at our lowest of lowest right now. But right. During that time, even though we were vibrating low, but we were vibrating higher than what we are right now. That's right. That's what I noticed, God, man. Gratitude for letting me share.
Oh boy. That's a powerful measure, sis. We give honors to you. And the lengths they would go to. This is the first time they called Plato and Solon liars. That's what's really tripping me out. And also just the fact that they would lock up the page and make no references and then make sure they put pseudo history up there. You know what I mean? That's terrible. That's terrible, family. With all that evidence right there. Goodness gracious. Man, Islam. We're going to have to call my Grand National Secretary of the State back. I know she spoke already. So, Grand National Secretary of the State, what you think about that? We got to get your take on that demonstration, sister.
Islam, having already originally given praises and honor where due, my take is you cannot bury the truth. Truth is an attribute of the Creator. And as we unfold and grow and be what we know, I tell you, Moors, that's why there's so much fear out there to keep us buried. Because when we come into the unfoldment of the self, oh my goodness, how you going to touch a God that can transmute at will, go through past, present, future at will, with or without the body? You understand what I'm saying? So yes, we are grand and wonderful people. And I tell you, and when you were speaking about in reference to being able to breathe beyond the cellular level, and things of that nature, and you can tap into that into meditation. That's why I keep reiterating, we don't have time for up the street, round the corner mentality. We have work to do and as much wisdom to be learned. Islam, praise God, gratitude.
That's right. Islam, Grand National Secretary of the State, and it's powerful because before all this discovery right here, that they have, even in the video, Prophet Noble Drew Ali already had gave us the demonstration in our own rights. You know, and if that don't tell you what's going on, goodness gracious. You know, boo. Brother Marvin Edwards Bay, before we close this portion out, you have any message you want to bring forth, brother?
Islam, gratitude. Dr. Marvin Edwards Bay, Texas, faith and knowledge have been given. Well, I tell you, listen to my Moors go before me. I mean, like it just, I mean, it almost leaves you speechless, you know what I mean, to a point, because having been studying the prophet's lessons and teaching, you know what I mean, and having been expanding my perception, you know what I mean, through his teachings, you know what I mean, it just, you know, shows, you know what I mean, from where we've come to where we're at to how far we can go. You know what I mean? If we would just embrace what the prophet brought us, embrace what our Moorish American government has for us. If we do this, all of our people, you know what I mean, coming to this fold, yeah, I mean, like it just, I mean, it just that it's more than words can actually convey. You know what I mean? It's just a powerful message. You know what I mean? Because, and you brought us so far along the line, because a lot of this seemed impossible, I mean, to myself. But like I say, as we continue to study, and as we continue to study the teachings, and as we continue to study the self, we begin to recognize what the great God has put in us. You know what I mean? What the prophet is bringing out of us, and what the government is making available to all of us, to the world. And that's why I'll say it's just beautiful. I'm so grateful for being here. Gratitude for allowing me to speak. Islam and peace.
Islam and peace, grand man. We give honors to you, you know, for that grand draw. And we just say praise be to the great God Allah, you know, for all it is that has been manifested. Because like I said, we just ran the history down in a brief summary. You know, we know that we are the return of the ancient ones. We know that we are descendants of light beings. We descendants of the ancient angels, you know, the Elohim. We descendants of Ish and Isha. You see, and then coming into the plane of things made manifest, whether you look at it on the west coast of Africa or the east coast of Africa, we can see the capital empire and dominion, you know, that was taught to us by Prophet Noble Drew Ali. We can see the greatness that was demonstrated and us having a part in all of that, despite those who are naysayers or those who would try to speak out against that. And the only reason there are those who try to suppress that knowledge, because they know when we come back into a state like our Grand Secretary of the State was saying, a godhood, we will indeed be able to empower ourselves as a people and build even greater things than we already have. You know, so that's the grand measure. If one can make you believe that you're weak, then that's what you're going to demonstrate, if you believe that their power extends beyond the great God Allah. And that's why our chairman always tell us, the master question is, who made you? Because when you know who made us, then you know how it was possible for us to make the things that we made and bring the things on the manifest that we brought on the manifest. And it has to do with knowing the God self, the higher self. So we give honors to our Moorish kin. We're going to shut this session down, you know, and be about the business. And Moors, stay present on the panel as we close this demonstration out to the public. And we have a measure to bring forth. So Islam, peace and love to the rest of the family. And we'll be getting back with you later. Gratitude. All right.